go green this time around. The lights on top of the pace car are out. And don't go anywhere, friends, because we've got some exciting Winston Cup racing for you coming up here on ESPN Live at Bristol, Tennessee. The green flag is out, and here we go.
Well, Jeff Bodine got himself a good jump going into turn one. Took the lead from Alan Kowicki.
Jeff Bodine will lead Kowicki, Brett Bodine, and Sterling Marlin to lap number 1. Everybody through the first lap okay in single file formation, except for a few cars caught on the high side of the back of the pack, but up front they're single file.
Yeah, it looked to me like Alan Kowicki spun the tires when he tried to accelerate and was not able to get his car moving because Bodine shot out in front of him.
Here's the side-by-side action we talked about at the back of the pack. That's Greg Sachs on the outside in the orange and yellow number 48 car, and Kyle Petty in number 42 below, and Morgan Shepherd there in car 75.
Morgan was on the outside, but he knew that wasn't the place to be, so he got down on the inside.
And Greg Sachs is trying desperately to get down there, but can't. Now he is in front of Neil Bonnet, and they touch slightly as we're inside Kyle Petty's car.
And all that action we were seeing was right behind him as he follows Dick Trickle.
Petty falling off the pace just a little bit.
I think he just moved over and let Morgan Shepherd go. Shepherd has been pretty fast, even though he qualified in 29th position. I think Kyle just moved over to let him go.
Looks like it's still a little slick out there. Morgan's car squirreling around just a bit.
These guys are taking it awfully careful now because, let's face it, this is 500 laps. There's no point going out and destroying the thing now.
And you know, one thing that these guys have got to be thinking about is the possibility of more rain. The Weather Bureau saying there's a 50% chance of rain tonight. And skies are once again cloudy to the west of us, so you got to think about the possibility of a 251-lap race here this evening. Jeff Bodine in the Levi Garrett Chevrolet number 5 leads. Alan Kowicki in the Xerox Ford car number 7. First and second, they've separated themselves from the third-place car of Brett Bodine, Sterling Marlin, Dale Earnhardt, and Darrell Waltrip. There is Ken Schrader leading a group of cars down the straightaway. Schrader, then Ricky Rudd, then Ernie Irvin in the 88 car of Jimmy Spencer.
Rudd tried to get inside. Schrader almost got the car out of shape. Ernie Irvin, what a super run for the Kroger Pontiac. Qualified 13th. And he looks like he's on the way to the front. Remember back in the spring, Ernie ran so well.
He sure did. He led part of that race and really looked good.
Yeah, he actually qualified in the 8th position here, which I believe is Ernie's best qualifying position so far in Winston Cup racing.
Number 15 car of Brett Bodine is in 3rd, followed by Sterling Marlin in 94, and then Dale Earnhardt in number 3. You're watching 3rd, 4th, and 5th right now, as 1st and 2nd, Bodine and Alan Kowicki are pulling away from everyone. Now we're inside Sterling Marlin's car. He's right behind Brett Bodine, the Motorcraft Ford.
And those were two of the fastest cars in practice here this afternoon. However, the track has changed considerably since then because it came that big rain.
And also it's cooled off tremendously because this afternoon it was in the 80s, now it's in the 70s, and that makes such a difference in the characteristics of these cars.
Looking backwards from the Sterling Marlin car at Dale Earnhardt. There is the lead group. Meanwhile, it is Jeff Bodine and Alan Kowicki as they lap the 48 car Greg Sachs, who is making a pit stop. And still Bodine is able to hang on to about a 2-car length advantage over Kowicki. Ken Schrader is having problems, it would appear, as he's lost several positions in the last few laps. The number 25 car of Schrader now is just ahead of Rick Mast and Harry Gant.
We saw him just a moment ago in front of the 26 car when Ricky got by and got the inside position on him. The whole string went by him. This is from inside Harry Gant, Skull Bandit. Up behind Rick Mast, that's Rick Mast of Food City Chevrolet, number 66. Look, Rick looks on the inside of Schrader. He's trying to go by.
And it looks like that Harry Gant's car is smoking. I don't know whether it was tire smoking or what. Let's go down to Jack Arute with a report on pit road.
Well, this is one that we haven't heard is backing up is his windshield is fogged up. He can't see. And that's due to the humidity and the rain and having started this race in the wet.
Well, there's all kinds of things that can slow your progress down, and that's one we haven't heard of recently. Now here is a good three-car battle. Brett Bodine, Dale Earnhardt on the high side, and Darrell Waltrip. And Dale Earnhardt moves into the fourth spot.
Hey, they're making that pass on the outside, too.
What about the Winston Cup winner with $1 million to win the championship? He's the first car we've seen pass on the outside.
Now looking back at Ernie Irvan and Ricky Rudd as they're side-by-side momentarily. Down the front stretch, they get into single file formation.
Ricky's trying to go on the outside like Earnhardt did. He's not having the success that Dale Earnhardt had on the outside of Ricky Rudd.
There's Michael Waltrip trying to work the inside of Jimmy Spencer.
You can see how fast they go down that straightaway as we saw that speed shot momentarily.
Boy, any driver that came here this weekend has really got to be scratching his head. First of all, they come to a completely new racetrack, essentially because it was repaved. They found that it was breaking up in parts, so you got to adjust for that. And besides all of that, the hard rain that we had here just a couple of hours ago, we have a
Michael
spin.
Waltrip has a problem.
Michael Waltrip spinning, doing a half spin at least to the inside of the racetrack. He has it straightened out and will go into the pits on the backstretch, and there will be no yellow flag, but Michael Waltrip does a half spin, and now we continue to see Alan Kowicki's pursuit of Jeff Bodine. Looks like Michael Waltrip drove through the pits on the backstretch and is still out there on the racetrack.
Yeah, he's pitting on the front stretch, so that's the way he was headed when after he spin. Let's watch it again as he tries to get down on the inside of Jimmy Spencer. They touch, and Michael goes all the way around, and he was headed down pit road on the backstretch when he got it straightened out. So he went down. He is now one lap down.
Boy, Jimmy Spencer also lost it too, didn't he?
Well, I tell you, Spencer did a heck of a job saving that car.
And that is Rusty Wallace there on the outside, hoping that he did not become involved, and he did not. Meanwhile, still up front, we have Bodine and Alan Kowicki going at it. And Kowicki, coming off the fourth corner, tries to get to the inside of Bodine. Let's see how things shake out going into turns 1 and 2, side by side. If there aren't two grooves, or if there were two grooves, there are now.
Whoa, that was so close. Kowicki had position on him, but just could not get by. Oh, what a great pass that was, or attempted pass.
So Alan Kowicki can't find the way around Jeff Bodine as the battle up front continues. 26 laps have been completed here in this 500 lapper at Bristol, and Jeff Bodine has led all the way so far.
He got a good jump on the start of the race, and of course out front is the place to be. As we mentioned several times, it's going to be very difficult to pass here tonight, although we have seen some passing, but when two cars are as equal as those two are, it's awfully difficult for the other to slip around.
And we're going to see some lapping being done here in the next few laps, as now the number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt has caught the 94 of Sterling Marlin. This is their third spot, and Dale Earnhardt's car is running very well. He goes to the inside of Marlin in turn 3 and just blows right around.
Yes, he does. Well, I'll tell you, Marlin was running very strong this afternoon in practice, but Earnhardt running better here tonight.
And now, as we indicated, the leaders are approaching the slower traffic and beginning the lapping process. The number 57 car of Hut Strickland will be the first to be passed, and he apparently is smoking just a little bit. Some smoke seen from that race car. Michael Waltrip is staying right there without.
He's trying to get his lap back, because if he can get in front of these fellas and the caution flag were to come out, he can make up a whole half mile. Hut Strickland, meanwhile, don't want to lose that lap.
Ooh, that is coming.
Well, Strickland is lapped by Jeff Bodine, and now here comes Alan Kowicki, and the smoke is more obvious from Hut Strickland's car. But look at Dale Earnhardt, who has caught both Bodine and Alan Kowicki.
Boy, he has come from back in the pack. Well, he started in 7th position and has picked them off one at a time and has run down those front two who had pulled away for a little while.
We're looking at Dale Earnhardt and Hut Strickland on the left through the vantage point of Sterling Marlin. Trying to pass Hut Strickland and lap him. He does so. there's our camera mounted on the right side of the car, and you can see how close they come to that outer wall when they come off the corners and down the stretch. First, second, and third. Michael Waltrip also in there, but he's a lap car. Jeff Bodine, Alan Kulwicki, then Michael Waltrip, and Dale Earnhardt.
I tell you what, that Michael Waltrip and that Country Town Pontiac is running extremely well. He had a problem just a moment ago, but he is really, oh my goodness gracious, look at this.
Now that is quite a battle. There's about a dozen cars and got about 3 pair of them running side by side. They are really doing some racing.
Bobby Hillen, Mark Martin in car number 6. The 42 machine is Kyle Petty. Then comes Phil Parsons. Larry Pearson is in this battle, as is the 83 car of Joe Ruttman. Of course, the 48 is Greg Sachs, who is being passed on the outside of the racetrack. And we're inside Kyle Petty's car. The leader still trying to work slower traffic. Boy, it's
And it's not necessarily that slow traffic back there. These cars, you know, they've been running very fast, but they just they're in heavy traffic all the time themselves. Some of them were being held up a little bit, and, you know, their leaders had a free track to run in there for a while, so they just ran them down.
You know, Michael Waltrip, he lost a lap a moment ago when he had spun out and went down the pit road. But, you know, it might be an advantage to him because he's with the leaders and all the other cars. Oh, look, he tried to go inside Kulwicki. Almost got inside the left rear of Alan Kulwicki. But it might be an advantage being able to run the leader.
Well, it could be. At least he gets the advantage of the move-over flag, the passing flag.
Kulwicki, some smoke off those. That was smoke off Kulwicki's car, wasn't it, Bob?
Yeah, I think it was. I think it was tire smoke, but I think you're right. Just a little bit evident. Dick Trickle is the car right ahead of the leader, Jeff Bodine, that they're trying to lap.
And Bill Elliott's right in front of him.
So Elliott may go down a lap here in the early going. Kulwicki, meanwhile, would like very much to pass Jeff Bodine and take over the lead.
And Michael Waltrip would love to get... Oh, here comes Earnhardt. He gets by Michael.
Earnhardt has been the star of the show in the first 42 laps.
Yeah, he's dialed in, no doubt about it.
Look at the smoke off Earnhardt's car.
Is that tire smoke? Maybe so.
Dale Earnhardt.
Really hustling that thing right now.
He's the defending champion of this race.
It's so... There is just no room. It's so close. No, Kulwicki, it's on the outside of the Bodine car and Earnhardt on the inside of Kulwicki.
Let's see if we have a change for second place here. Kulwicki and Earnhardt go into the corner side by side. They come out with Kulwicki in a slight advantage.
Well, look at Earnhardt now come back down on the inside. He's just going to bulldoze his way right on through there.
And Earnhardt has second. Alan Kulwicki drops back to third. Jeff Bodine having trouble holding the spin. Sterling Marlin is spinning in turn number 4. He's on the bottom of the racetrack, and no other car is going to be involved. And Sterling Marlin will keep going. No caution flag. We've had 2 spins, but no cautions. And now the lead goes to Dale Earnhardt. Earnhardt has the lead as he was able to pass Jeff Bodine.
And Michael Waltrip has been able to get by both of those cars, both Bodine and Earnhardt, and Alan Kulwicki. And look, he's on the inside of the 3 car. No, he didn't. He backed off a little bit.
But I tell you, the 2 best working cars, it looks like right now on the racetrack, are Dale Earnhardt and Michael Waltrip.
Yep, it sure does. And it's too bad that Michael had that half spin a few laps ago, or he could be charging up through the pack rather than trying to get his lap back. And Bill Elliott goes down a lap.
Boy, that's a shame. Bill Elliott, early on, getting a lap down.
Let's go back and take a look at the spin by Sterling Marlin. It occurred in turn number 4.
Looks like he just tried to get inside Alan Kulwicki, and Kulwicki came down. Sterling tried to turn away from him and have spun his car. Almost exactly the same thing that happened to Michael Waltrip earlier on.
Except at the opposite end of the racetrack. Now we're back inside Sterling's car as he tries to make up lost ground. Well, the lead now held by Dale Earnhardt. Running in second position is Jeff Bodine. Third is Alan Kulwicki. Fourth, Darrell Waltrip. And fifth, Ricky Rudd at the Busch 500.
We're looking. We're looking.
on.
I'm just looking for a Busch beer.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the Goodyear Eagle line of high-performance street radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, for the spirit of a champion that's in all of us.
Listen to the heartbeat of America. Listen to the heartbeat of America. Oh, yeah.
The Chevy Beretta Sport Coupe, designed to help you look better, engineered to help you drive better, and priced to let you live better.
To the heartbeat of America. Chevrolet, Chevrolet.
Presenting a superbly engineered high-performance machine. One that's been race-bred by the world's finest drivers to deliver the ultimate overall performance. What do we call this masterpiece of engineering? Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug. Drive it today and find out for yourself why so many champions prefer Bosch.
Available at Kmart and other fine auto parts stores. Installed at most Precision Tune Centers.
Well, you short track fans have a real thrill coming up as 3 of the next 5 races in Winston Cup competition are on the short tracks. Of course, we have the Southern 500 coming up next weekend for darting. Oh, and Michael Waltrip is into the wall this time. And Joe Ruttman hits him. As Michael slid down the banking, Joe Ruttman just had no place to go. And here's the race to the line. And Earnhardt.
Well, he had just lapped Mark Martin, and he wanted to keep him a lap down. Terry Labonte and Davey Allison, the 2 cars in front of Earnhardt, were almost a lap down. He wanted to catch them and pass them. But here we see Michael Waltrip. He's moving around inside the car, but a lot of damage done to the Country Time Lemonade Pontiac.
We'll take a look at it once again. Now, Michael is already sliding to the wall here.
Look, I mean, I can't see any reason for it. He may have had a flat tire or something going in the corner. And here comes Joe Ruttman. And boy, I tell you, that Bullseye Barbecue Sauce Oldsmobile did not need to hit Michael Walker because they've had a terrible... Oh, he's trying to get underneath Morgan Shepherd in the Violin Pontiac. Exactly what happened to him just a moment ago with Jimmy Spencer, or almost the same thing.
So our first caution period of the evening, and Dale Earnhardt, the lead of the race, is in the pits as they change tires on the right side. Let's go to Jack Arute.
F49 has come on to pit road for service in the Levi Garrett team led by Waddell Wilson. They have made a change in the handling. Let's check in with Jerry Punch with Alan Kowicki.
Well, Alan Kowicki had to back up Jack Arute to get out of pit. He was blocked in by the Sterling Marvin car. They changed right side tires, and they have now left the pit. Let's go back to Jack Arute.
Well, they've just completed the work on Jeff Bodine's car, and he will be the first out of the pit road as Kowicki beat him out along with Earnhardt. Let's go to Rusty Wallace and Jerry Punch.
Left side tires finishing up for Rusty Wallace and Kodiak Pontiac. He is down and away as they have made a 4 tire change for Rusty Wallace. Likewise, Davey Allison and a lot of others coming in for 4 tires. It'll take them a little longer to get back on the racetrack, but they have completely fresh rubber all the way around. Gentlemen?
All right, so the first set of pit stops completed here at Bristol at the 61 lap mark. We are under caution because of a crash over in turn number 2 involving Michael Waltrip and Joe Ruttman. And the cleanup continues in that area of the racetrack. We'll be back with more live coverage right after this.
Look what Wash and Fill of Defiance is offering: interior cleaning. We understand that sometimes you're just too busy to properly clean your car's interior like you should. At Wash and Fill, you wait just a few minutes while we wash all windows and dashboards, plus thoroughly vacuum your car's upholstery and floors with our powerful equipment. We also wash your floor mats automatically, then vacuum them dry. With just a few dollars and a couple of minutes, Wash and Fill can completely clean your car's interior. Satisfaction guaranteed. Stop in today.
Kick off the NFL preseason with ESPN. You'll score extra points when you advertise your product or service on America's only 24-hour sports channel. Don't be left on the sidelines. Be a part of the hard-hitting action when America's premier football teams take the field. You're a winner when you advertise during NFL preseason football on ESPN.
Something for all of you.
For more information, call your Dimension Media Services representative today.
Michael Waltrip's car is on the back of a tow truck being taken down the backstretch pits. Now let's take a look at the top 10 as we have them at the moment. It's Dale Earnhardt leading with Alan Kulwicki second, Jeff Bodine third, Ricky Rudd fourth, Darrell Waltrip running in fifth position. Then 6 through 10, Jimmy Spencer, Brett Bodine, Rusty Wallace, Ken Schrader, and Terry Labonte. Once again, we'll show you the crash that has caused our first caution of the evening.
There we see Earnhardt go by our leader, Michael Waltrip, the yellow car. Country Time sponsor was trying to get underneath Morgan Shepherd to pass him. Tried to turn away from him when Morgan came down the racetrack, spun, and Joe Ruttman, the red and white car, comes along and runs into the side of Michael Waltrip. Here's the shot from inside of Kyle Petty's car down the right front. We see Michael on the inside of the yellow car. And around he goes.
Back end just breaks loose as he goes into turn one. And into the wall he goes, then comes back down into Joe Ruttman as Kyle Petty goes on by, and we're about to go back to green.
We'll go green on lap number 64. That's Kyle Petty in car number 42 that leads them down. But the leader of the race is Dale Earnhardt, and the green flag is out once again.
Look at Earnhardt go by Kyle Petty.
He is hooked up.
He is really hooked up going somewhere tonight.
Inside Kyle Petty's car once again. Now looking to the back class at Alan Kulwicki and Mark Martin and Jeff Bodine.
A lot of scrambling going on back in the field.
There is the number 6 car of Mark Martin, but he is a lap down. Look at the scramble for positions here. Included in that group, Dave Marcus in 71, Bobby Hillin, Morgan Shepherd, Ricky Rudd in 26, and Darrell Waltrip in 17.
It'd be easier to read the lineup than it would be to try to tell all the cars in that pack of automobiles.
Dick Trickle also there in 84, and Jimmy Spencer in 88.
And you know, they're able to run side by side pretty good around here, so that second group is working better tonight than it did last night. Jack Arute said at the top of the show that second group might come in after about 50 or 60 laps, and sure enough, it's working pretty good. So we might see, as we've seen so many times here in the past, as this race goes on, we might see that being the faster group as they go in and sort of diamond the track, go up high, and then come back down low.
Well, let's go to Jack Arute, who has caught up with Michael Waltrip.
Well, first of all, Michael, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine. I wish I could say the same for the Country Time Post Serials Pontiac. It's tore up pretty bad.
Now, what happened? What happened out there?
Well, Jackie, I guess it's a case of a young kid with a fast car, and I just tried too hard and made a mistake and paid for it. I hate it happened for the guys that work on the car. They did a super job getting that car ready, and we could have raced them tonight. It makes me sad.
What about the adrenaline rush? It was very frustrating when you spun with Spencer, and then to come back and run with the leaders, it would maybe stand to reason that you would get all pumped up.
I just overdid it. That's all there was to it. I got in underneath Morgan, just like I did Spencer, only this time I wasn't as fortunate as I was the first time.
Well, Jerry Punch is with the Wounded Country Time Lemonade car. Jerry, the Lemonade Brigade is still working on it.
Indeed they are, Jack Arute. In fact, you better send Michael Waltrip on back down here. They're ready for it. Time to hustle on down because they're going to try to squeeze a little more lemonade out of this Pontiac. What's left of this brand new Pontiac, Mike Beam and the crew are scurrying over this car, trying to put it back together. The entire front seat lever is missing. The windshield being replaced. The rear of the car being chipped away. They are going to put this guy back in the race. He is currently 19th in the point standings, and they will just not say no. They will not give up. So Michael Waltrip will have some more laps here tonight. Gentlemen?
Well, if I were a car owner, I would want my driver to say exactly what Michael Waltrip did if he did make a mistake. I think it speaks well for Michael Waltrip to say that, yeah, it was my fault.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'll tell you, pure honesty will get you a long way, and that's great.
Look at Mark Martin. Now, he told one of our reporters early on in the race that he felt like he had one of the best cars here. But yet he was lapped early on and said, well, He didn't have a very good car. Look, he has passed Alan Kowicki. He has caught Dale Earnhardt and is trying desperately to get his lap back. So he just might have one of the best cars tonight.
There are 16 cars on the lead lap, and Mark Martin is running in 17th. Our question to Dale Earnhardt, do you think the rest of the schedule favors you?
Well, I hope it is. I hope it favors us. You know, Rusty runs good these tracks too, and you just got to do everything right. We really goofed up at Michigan, and I think it got everybody's attention. It might have been a good omen that happened. Everybody buckle down and go to work real hard now.
Well, I think you got their attention, don't you? He's got mine right now, I'll tell you that, the way that car's running. But Mark Martin just passed him and got back in the lead lap.
So there are 17 cars now still in the lead lap, and Dale Earnhardt is the leader of the race. Came into this event 82 points ahead of Rusty Wallace, who is second in the Winston Cup battle. At the moment, Dale Earnhardt is just running away from everybody else, with the possible exception of Mark Martin, as he has put about a half a straightaway advantage on second place Alan Kowicki. And then about 9 or 10 car lengths behind Kowicki is Jeff Bodine, who is running in third spot. We'll be back with more live coverage from northeastern Tennessee, Bristol International Raceway, right after this.
The product, the vehicles, the testing grounds, the results. STP oil treatment is the edge.
It's just a pure and natural beer for you. So icy cold, so crisp, so clear.
Of all the beers that are cold filtered, only one has that distinctively clean, crisp taste. Budweiser, cold filtered and Beechwood aged for over 110 years.
This Bud's for you. Quick estate engines don't know when to quit.
How do you keep a major city running smoothly? Atlanta does it with Quaker State Motor Oil. In every fire truck, every police car, every Atlanta city-owned vehicle.
The big Q stands for quality. ESPN celebrates 10 great years of sparkling sports moments. 10 years that have made ESPN the #1 sports network in America. ESPN, first and 10.
Coverage of the only night race on the Winston Cup schedule, the Busch 500 at Bristol International Raceway. Tomorrow at noon Eastern Time, a much different form of auto racing, but nevertheless some excitement, as it always is, at Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium. The Belgian Grand Prix, noon tomorrow Eastern Time here on ESPN. Well, we're watching a lot of battles on the racetrack. Here is Morgan Shepherd in 75. The number 27 car is Rusty Wallace. 42 is Kyle Petty as they slug it out for position.
Right behind them is Brett Bodine, who we expected to run very strong here tonight, but so far he hasn't shown what we thought he would do. Here's Morgan Shepherd moving around Kyle Petty. 3 Pontiacs running together.
You know, Ned, I've started to say several times tonight, well, there's Rusty Wallace. Last week, he was the dominant car at Michigan. And I've started to say several times that, well, Rusty just isn't running like he normally does. But, you know, I'm not, after sitting here and watching this thing for about 50,
And Sterling Marlin spins again, takes Brett Bodine around with him over in turn 2.
That's the second time that Sterling Marlin has spun this evening, and this time Brett Bodine is also involved.
The 6 car, let's see if Mark Martin.
Yellow flag is out.
And Mark Martin trying to race Dale Earnhardt back to the start-finish line, and he's going to beat him back there, so he will stay in the lead lap. Earnhardt was about to put him a lap down before this happened.
So a real break for Mark Martin as Brett Bodine's Motorcraft Ford is sideways at the entrance to the backstretch. We'll replay what happened.
Well, here we see the blue car of Marlin down on the inside. That's Brett Bodine on the outside, and they come together, and both of them spinning around. Ken Schrader in the red car going by on the outside. So does Terry Labonte. And here goes Phil Parsons, car number 55, Ernie Irvin, Davey Allison, Dale Jarrett, and Neil Bonnet.
You know, it looked to me like that Sterling Marlin went down in turn 1. Okay, there's the fellow that's waving the green flag, means that pit road is open. Let's see if all the guys are going to... No, they're all staying on the racetrack. I've never seen this before.
Well, evidently they checked it out, their tires. It hasn't been that long since they were in. Earnhardt's certainly happy with the set of tires he has on his race car, and so he decided to stay out there and keep the track position, I guess, and when he stayed out there, about everybody else had to.
You know, but I started to say just a moment ago that it looked like that Sterling Marlin may have hooked, as we see Mark Martin and Sterling Marlin both come into pits, might have hooked the apron with the left front tire and got his car going sideways, and when he tried to correct it, he went up the racetrack and Brett Bodine was there. As we see Mark Martin changing the right side on that Stroh's light forward.
Making a chassis adjustment as well. The man that's standing up is making a chassis adjustment on that car, and Benny, he's turning to the left. That means that he is putting some weight. He's taking weight off the right rear, putting it on the left rear, so the car must have been a little bit loose with it.
A little bit too loose, exactly right. That was the adjustment they were making. They're changing 4 tires. And you'd say, why didn't any of the other cars stop? I'll get it out in a minute, Bob, don't worry about it. Why didn't the rest of them stop and change tires? Mark Martin didn't have anything to lose because he's the rear of the field.
Absolutely.
And here is a in-car angle from Sterling Marlin's car of Brett Bodine going sideways.
And of course, Sterling going sideways too, yeah. Well, we're about to go back to green after this melee on turn 2. We expected a lot of spins here tonight.
Well, in the race here in the spring, a record number of cautions flew during a Winston Cup event, 20. That set an all-time record. We'll let you see the field as it goes down the backstretch, preparing to restart this race on lap number 94.
Well, Brett Bodine and Sterling Marlin are both still in the race, so it didn't knock them out. They both have made pit stops.
Pace car off. Green flag is unfurled, and we're back to racing. Still, Dale Earnhardt leads with Alan Kulwicki second. Jeff Bodine is third, followed by Ricky Rudd, and Jimmy Spencer is running in fifth.
Now, Brett Bodine did lose 2 laps as they made repairs on his motorcraft Ford, but he is back in running.
And we have a spin involving Sterling Marlin once again, this time on the front stretch. Somebody's laying down some fluid, or was during that little melee.
Well, no yellow yet, but Sterling Marlin having a problem getting his car to going. Now he does. He's down off of the racing surface, so the yellow is coming out now. Apparently they feel that there might be some fluid down there.
It looks like the Sterling Marlin may be losing some of that fluid. I see some down in turn 1.
Here's a race back to the line. Nobody's going to get a lap back. Ernie Irvin tried, but failed.
Boy, he did try. Almost ran over Alan Kulwicki.
Well, we'll replay it again and watch Sterling Marlin's troubles here on the front stretch.
It looked like he just loses control. Apparently something coming out from under his own car that caused it to break traction.
It does, because if the camera stays with it as he drives away, I think we'll see. Well, the camera didn't stay with it, but there is like oil or water or something when Sterling Marlin drove away.
I think I saw some fluid coming out of the 57 car of Hut Strickland. I don't know what it was, but I think there was some fluid coming out of that car. Anyway, the track officials and the track maintenance crew are in the area of the racetrack in turn 1, putting down some oil dry. Okay, here is the field as it comes by. Of course, that's Dale Earnhardt leading the group, Alan Kulwicki, then Ernie Irvin, Jeff Bodine,
Dave Marcus, Bobby Hillen, Ricky Rudd, Jimmy Spencer, Darrell Walter, Rusty Wallace,
Rick Mast, Ken Schrader,
Dale Jarrett, Neil Bonnet,
Larry Pearson, Dick Trickle, Morgan Shepherd.
I don't know.
Rick Wilson with the yellow car. Harry Gant was back there. He's still in the lead lap. There's Kyle Petting, car number 42, the 57 car of Hut Strickland, and the number 10 car of Derek Cope, who has just made a pit stop.
Well, we missed Davey Allison, who's between Morgan Shepherd and Rick Wilson. We also missed Phil Parsons, who's between Rick Wilson and Harry Gant.
And Terry Labonte and Mark Martin are in the pits.
Along with Brett Bodine, and Sterling Marlin is back out on the racetrack, so
I guess it wasn't him. But you see that they put some oil dry where I was looking. I guess it's just coincidence. coincidence that he drove away from that spot.
Now we're inside Sterling Marlin's car once again for the restart just a few minutes ago. See if we can determine what happened.
That's Harry Gant in the Skoll car number 33, right in front of Sterling Marlin. A lot of shuffling going on up in front of him. We see Phil Parsons' car up there as he gets in line.
Oh, somebody hit it from the back.
Sure did.
Yep, somebody bumped him from the back.
Yep.
So that explains Sterling's loss of control on that particular incident. That's had Strickland going by there to the inside. And there you can plainly see the contact that Sterling Marlin had.
That was Martin on the inside, I think, that touched it.
Yep, you're right.
Sure was.
Okay, we're back to green, and the race resumes on lap number 100. We're 1/5 of the way through the Busch 500. Dale Earnhardt leading.
And the two car, the white car, Ernie Irvin, he's a lap down, trying to get a lap back. He wants to go up and pass Dale Earnhardt. Don't you know that would make his whole night if he could just pass Earnhardt? Don't matter if he wins the race.
There are 13 cars on the lead lap, and Ernie Irvin enlisted in 14th position. One lap down. Alan Kulwicki is that third car. Then Bobby Hillin and Jeff Bodine as Bodine moves to the inside of Bobby Hillin. Meanwhile, Mark Martin.
And it looks like there might be something coming from the rear of his car, some smoke, Bob. Let's watch it as we go down into turn 1.
Jack, what about it?
Well, Ned Jarrett is absolutely right. There is a lot of smoke. Here's what's developed. He may be the
a
fastest
spin
guy.
involving Sterling Marlin over in turn number 2. What is going on?
And Brent Bodine also involved once again.
So the same two cars that caused the most recent caution cause another one.
And Bob, that'll be a break for Mark Martin because they have developed a serious oil leak. They think one of the hoses, one of the fittings has been cracked, and they intend to change it during this pit stop. So this caution flag will be very beneficial for Mark Martin. He has been one of the fastest cars here at Bristol International Raceway in the Busch 500. But he has a long way to go from the back to the front if he hopes to win this race tonight. We'll be back with more from Bristol.
Track Facts are brought to you by Quaker State Motor Oil. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Today in NASCAR racing, there's a constant communication between the crew chief and the driver. Here's how it's accomplished. The crew chief wears a radio on his side. When he wants to talk to the driver, he pushes on a button on his headset. The signal goes out from this antenna to an antenna mounted on the roof of the race car. Comes down through a radio inside the driver's compartment to these earplugs that are actually placed inside the driver's ear, so there's no background noise. Now when the driver wants to talk to the crew, he pushes the button on the steering wheel. The signal comes up from the same radio out the same antenna on the roof. Crew chief receives it on his radio and hears it through these headphones. That's a whole lot better than it used to be when we used to wave the drivers into the pits.
Or use the old pit signs that we used to see. The top 15 at the end of 107 laps here in the Busch 500. We'll be back with more of our live coverage right after this.
From dawn's early light till the sun is set, Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Quaker State exceeds every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection. That's why in Atlanta, Georgia, the engine in every fire truck, every police car, every Atlanta city-owned vehicle is a Quaker State engine.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Here at Bristol, and Dale Earnhardt continues his domination of this race. Now that green car there to the inside, that's Ricky Rudd, and he apparently had a flat tire when the green came in for a pit stop and lost 2 laps.
Yes, he did. It was unfortunate. Ricky was running up there in the top 5, but had a flat tire, had to go in to make a pit stop, and went 2 laps down.
There's second place, Alan Kulwicki in the number 7 car. And that's also Brett Bodine there in 15.
And at the same time that he had the flat tire, Ricky Rudd had the flat tire, Larry Pearson in the Chattanooga Q Buick had a flat tire.
Let's go to Jack Arute and explain why that Rudd had the problem.
Remember we told you about the track coming up and little pebbles and cutting the tires? Right there, the Goodyear tire engineers have determined that's what's befallen Ricky Rudd. He came in, changed this tire, but it dropped him out of the top 10. Let's check in with Sterling Marlin, who's with Jerry Punch.
Well, Jack Sterling is still sitting in the Sunoco Oldsmobile trying to get the car fixed. Let's check in with Sterling. Sterling, what's the problem with the car? What's wrong?
It looks like it's one of those nights. Tried to be nice to Alan and got up under him and he cut out and spun the car out. Got under Brett, he cut out, spun us both out, and I had a flat the last time and both about on the inside, and he just took me out. I don't know what the deal is.
It's been an exciting 100 laps for Sterling Marlin. He's going to try to get back out and pick up some more Winston Cup points. Gentlemen.
Well, he's provided some action for us in the first 1/5 of this race. Now we're picking up on some battles going on. Harry Gant, Davey Allison, the 84 of Dick Trickle, and we are inside Harry's car now, looking out the back glass to Davey Allison. Right now, Harry is in 9th and Davey is in 10th. The 88 car of Jimmy Spencer having a great run. That's Buddy Baker's car, and he's to 4th, and that's been the progress so far this evening. Started 12th, moved to 6th, moved to 5th at the end of 100 laps, and now he's 4th at the end of 120.
I talked to Buddy Baker this week, and he is really high on Jimmy Spencer. Ooh, Spencer almost loses it as we watch him come off the 4th corner. He's awfully high on Spencer. He thinks that he's going to be a Class A Winston Cup race car driver.
And you know, this car here last spring, it was not under the controls of Jimmy Spencer. It was being driven by Greg Saxon, but it was the event lap leader. So the car and the racetrack have something going here.
Evidently, the Briscoe team does have an awfully good setup for the Bristol International Raceway.
And right behind Jimmy Spencer is the 2-car of Ernie Irvan. We've already talked about how well he performed in the April race.
Ernie and Jimmy Spencer got together just a little bit coming off turn 4. Spencer's car wiggled, and he was able to save it.
Dale Earnhardt continues to lead, coming down here and completing lap number 124.
Alex Loicky running second. Jeff Bodine is third. Spencer is fourth, and Darrell Waltrip running in the 5th position.
There is Darrell Waltrip, the bright orange car number 17.
Rusty Wallace not too far behind. He would be the 6th place car. Morgan Shepherd is a lap down in car number 75. So is Bobby Hillen in car number 8.
They are using a much wider groove up there in turns 1 and 2.
There, Waltrip moves around. Bobby Hillen, Morgan Shepherd moves down on the inside. Rusty Wallace looking for a place to go.
What'd you start saying, Bob? They're using a much higher line than they did last night in the Busch Grand National? That's because these cars are a little bit heavier, about 300 pounds heavier, and they just have to move up the racetrack. The weight will not, the tires will not let them stay on the bottom of the racetrack as well as the Busch Grand National cars.
Plus the fact that once they've run up there a little bit, they get that newness worn off of the racing surface, so they get a little better traction up there than the cars were last night. We've got trouble down in turn 1.
Oh, we had a big crash down in turn number 2. Davey Allison involved, so is Derek Cope and Mark Martin. 3 cars involved in this incident in turn number 2. And there is Davey Allison's car that's in the middle of the racetrack. There you can see that Mark Martin has already gotten the car headed in the right direction and is moving away, but he was involved, and so was Derek Cope.
And Dick Trickle. Dick Trickle is sitting at the end of the pit wall over there, isn't he?
Is that a fountain? What is that?
There's a lot of smoke coming. There's the Dick Trickle car down on the inside at the end of pit road on the backstretch.
So there were at least 4 cars involved in that crash.
It looked like we'll take a look in a moment, but maybe Davey Allison and Mark Martin might have gotten together there going into that turn. There was a lot of traffic that was very, very heavy back there. Davey's car appeared to be a little bit loose.
Something's going on in the rear. Is that a fire in the rear, or is that steam from the overflow coming out of that automobile?
Well, there's Davey coming out of the car. Thank goodness that he's okay.
Now we're concerned with Dick Trickle, who has not exited his car yet. Dale Earnhardt, the leader, is in for a pit stop, and Jack Arute will call this stop.
Now,
Well, I guess he isn't there, so we'll call it for you. The Richard Childress and Kirk Shelmerdine crew going to work on the right side of the car. Now, Jerry Punch is in Alan Kulwicki's pit.
Well, they have changed right side tires. They come around to the left side of the Xerox Ford, and then Billy Engel has the big jack underneath the car, pumping hard, and they are putting the left side rubber on the car. Alan Kulwicki just biding his time. Earnhardt on top of the screen. Kulwicki on the bottom. Kulwicki is out of the way. He will follow the Rusty Wallace car down pit road. Both cars headed down pit road back to turn one as pit work has been completed. Gentlemen?
So both move back out onto the racetrack as the cleanup is underway in turn number 2. Davey Allison's car is still on the in the middle of the racetrack, and Dick Trickle's car is at the entrance to the pit area on the backstretch. We'll be back with more of our live coverage after these messages.
The world at your fingertips.
Your GMC truck dealers are going to put an end to it right here and right now. It's cleanup time for the 1989 GMCs, and depending on the model you choose, your Northwest Ohio and Southeastern Michigan GMC truck dealers will be giving you the extras it takes to leave them with empty lots, like free automatic transmissions, up to $2,650 savings with cash back and value option packages, and 2.9 APR financing on top of generous closeout reductions. Let one of these GMC truck dealers prove to you that you can drive the affordable quality of a new GMC truck.
Operating a computer doesn't have to be a three-ring circus. Maumee Valley Computer Center offers complete training and support services with each sale. Even when you're on your own, you're not alone with Maumee Valley Computer Center of Defiance.
Is on the warpath. Iron Mike Ditka and Chicago are ready to bear down. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann bring you Sunday Night NFL live on ESPN.
Back at Bristol International Raceway in Tennessee for the Busch 500 Winston Cup race. Now we're under our 5th caution of the evening because of this incident in turns 1 and 2.
Well, Davey Allison has spun high on the racetrack. Mark Martin went by down on the inside. We couldn't tell if somebody got into Davey, if they got together going into the turn, but anyway, he came out the worst to wear.
And there is the work that's going on in the Mark Martin car right now. Also involved in that crash, Dick Trickle and Derek Cope. Jack Arute is with Davey Allison.
And Bob, good news, he's okay. But Davey, what happened up there?
Jack, I'm not sure. Car just broke loose going in the first turn, and I couldn't save it. I tried to get it turned around and get it backed up against the wall as quick as I could, but I couldn't keep it up there. The track is just so slick out there right now. I slid down in front of some other cars and got hit a couple of times. I hate it for everybody else that got involved in it, but I'm not sure what happened.
Well, a tough break. This is 2 nights in a row that he's had to come to the infield infirmary and been released, but he's out of the race early tonight as well.
Another honest race driver there. Said it, lost it going into the first turn, and I tell you, my hat's off to those guys whenever they say that.
Well, you know, one of the terms we hear a lot about is toe in and toe out. Well, what is it all about? Benny Parsons can explain in another track fact. Track Facts are brought to you by the Robert Bosch Corporation, makers of Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Toe in on a race car is a very important thing. Toe in is making sure that the front tires go straight ahead. And how these fellows do it is they pull a car up on front end plates. These are the plates, and they revolve so that we make sure we don't have any deflection in the rubber in the tire and get a false reading. And then they establish dead center on the steering box. See the yellow dot on the steering box? That means that the steering box is going straight ahead. Then they put the steering wheel holder on the steering wheel to hold the steering box straight ahead. They take a string, go down the left side of the tire to make sure that the left front tire is going straight ahead. And they use the turnbuckle down there that you're seeing now to adjust the tire in and out, whichever way it needs to go. Then you take the toe stick around to the right front. Now at Daytona and Talladega, you'd want to set the toe in about 1/32 out, toe out, because you don't want to scrub any speed down the straightaway. All the rest of the racetracks, 1/8 toe out.
That's all you ever wanted to know about toe in and toe out. And we'll be back with more from Bristol International Raceway after this.
set out to engineer the ultimate spark plug. We put in a lot of long hours. We utilized a lot of revolutionary thinking. And all the while, our competition thought we were just shooting for the moon. Unfortunately for them, we shot a bit higher than that. Bosch Platinum, the ultimate spark plug.
Available at Firestone Master Care Service Centers and participating independent dealers.
Created to slip the bounds of nature and powered by an unrelenting force within. The intercooled, turbocharged Dodge Daytona Shelby.
Get zero financing or $1,000 cash plus special dealer incentives that may save you even more.
It's every cowboy's worst nightmare. And when the worst is over, you head for the beer that goes down smooth as a mountain stream. Busch.
Does anybody want to start the campfire?
Head for the mountains of Busch beer.
Green flag out once again. Back to racing. Jeff Bodine has the lead in car number 5. Second place belongs to Rusty Wallace. And third is Alan Kowicki. Now there are a couple of lap cars. There were 3 lap cars, as a matter of fact, leading the pack. However, that number 5 car there of Jeff Bodine is the leader. And now Alan Kowicki takes second away from Rusty Wallace. And here comes Dale Earnhardt.
That could be a big pass because Rusty Wallace wanted to get up and lead this race because it pays 5 bonus points if he can lead the race. We know Rusty desperately wanted to lead, but this car's going backwards in the rut.
Sure is.
There might be something wrong with that car.
Here comes Jimmy Spencer to take away another position, and Ken Schrader now right behind Rusty Wallace. Alan Kowicki has second now in the number 7 car, and Earnhardt is third in number 3. Bodine continually that number 2 car. Ernie Irvin is a lap down. Or actually at the tail end of the lead lap, I should say, and so is Morgan Shepherd in 75, who is ahead of this group.
And Ricky Rudd, who had lost 2 laps a little bit earlier, is back. He's only 1 lap down now. He's at the tail end of that second lap as he tries to get around Morgan Shepherd up front there.
So there are actually 11 cars that are on the lead lap. Ernie Irvin is in 11th position, and the 75 car, Morgan Shepherd, is in 10th.
Ernie Irvin's fighting desperately to stay out there and in front of Jeff Bodine, just in case there's a caution comes out.
Morgan Shepherd car getting extremely loose up in the corner. Rudd tried to get by, could not make it.
Morgan Shepherd leading this group, but the car obviously very loose. It's going to be interesting to see Bodine and the others try to get through these 3 cars. Ricky Rudd going to the inside of Morgan Shepherd.
But he couldn't make it work down there. Now Morgan goes high again, and here comes Rudd down on the inside, and they touch coming off the turn.
They just didn't touch, they hit pretty hard.
Now Ernie Irvin and Ricky Rudd have some paint trading going on. And boy, Jeff Bodine has got to be thinking, I wish you guys would quit that.
What about Dale Earnhardt? The Winston Cup leader back. He's what, 6th in this line of automobiles?
Yeah, running in 3rd place in the race, but running 6th in line there. Now he's trying to make a move on Alan Kowicki. I think those cars up front are maybe holding the leaders up a little bit. Not a great deal, but
everybody is being very careful not to overstep that line between looking good and putting yourself in a disastrous situation. Nobody willing to pass at the moment, just kind of waiting things out.
Earnhardt's going to look on the outside. This car is able to run inside, outside, wherever. Morgan moves up a little bit again. No, and Earnhardt is on the inside of Kowicki, trying to take 2nd place away.
This may be our pass. Let's see if Dale Earnhardt can make it work down on the bottom of the racetrack. He and Alan Kowicki are side by side as they cross the line and go into turn number 1. Neither one willing to give an inch. Now Earnhardt has the pass. Here comes Jimmy Spencer to challenge Alan Kowicki.
Jeff Bodine, the yellow and white car, is the leader. The black three, Dale Earnhardt running second. Earnhardt on the outside of Bodine. Is he going to make this back?
No, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, he'll do.
Here he comes on the high side in turn 3. Earnhardt looking for the lead, trying to get past Jeff Bodine. He's going to get it. Indeed he does.
The man's unbelievable. He's unbelievable.
That race car is flat working, and he is flat driving it, too.
Now we have Jeff Bodine in second, then Alan Kowicki, Jimmy Spencer, and Rusty Wallace.
Now, Rusty seems to have picked back up a little bit. He was falling back there for a while, but now he seems to have things going pretty good again.
We have the first 6 cars running nose to tail on the racetrack. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who can give us some information on Rusty Wallace.
Well, gentlemen, Rusty Wallace's car was so very tight when he went back to green flag, he couldn't drive it. In fact, the car was flipping up across the racetrack, and he just couldn't get the car to turn in the corners. That's why at least 5 or 6 cars passed him. Now the car appears to be coming into its own. The cars are getting worn a little bit. It's not nearly as tight as it was. He can drive the car, so Rusty might be able to start making his move. Gentlemen?
Well, he's certainly looking a lot better now than he was a few laps ago. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt has been able to lap Ernie Irvan and put him one to the rears. And there is Darrell Waltrip in car number 17 as he runs 8th at the moment. The car slow on the racetrack, at the bottom on the main straightaway is Rick Wilson.
Yeah, and he just came out of the pits on the backstretch, Bob. He made an unscheduled pit stop, and he's not getting back up to speed, so apparently he's going back into the pits once again. The Kodak Film Oldsmobile of Rick Wilson.
There's Waltrip, who will get one chance to win $1 million next Sunday afternoon live on ESPN at the Southern 500, part of Race Day America.
Now we can see Earnhardt has caught Ricky Rudd on the left of your screen there. The green car, Ricky Rudd, and Morgan Shepherd out front. Morgan is in the lead lap. He's on the tail end of the lead lap. Ricky Rudd is almost 2 laps down as Dale Earnhardt, boy, he has pulled away from Jeff Bodine and just trying to put these guys away up front there to get them a lap down.
Now Bodine trying to dispose of Ernie Irvan. He does so. And here comes Dale Earnhardt to pull alongside of Ricky Rudd and put him another lap down. And now it'll be Dale Earnhardt that tries to put Morgan Shepherd a full lap down.
Now look, he went on the outside of Ricky Rudd, pulled up high, down, dipped down to the inside of Morgan Shepherd. Now you talk about a race car sticking and working. Now that is flat getting it done. And boy, he is driving the wheels off that thing.
He sure is. He is putting on a show tonight for these fans.
Qualified 7th fastest, Dale Earnhardt did, at a speed of 115.8 compared with 117.0, the pole speed of Alan Kowicki. But obviously Dale Earnhardt has found something since qualifying that has made his car the very, very best. Now there's Rusty Wallace and Jimmy Spencer running nose to tail on the racetrack. And this is for 4th place. Here comes Rusty Wallace. You can see him working the wheel, trying to keep it under control in the 4th corner. And the number 11 car of Terry Labonte is also right in the hunt.
Yeah, he's on the move. The best we've seen him all night. We haven't seen much of him, but after this last pit stop, he has come back up through there. So apparently they made some adjustments on the Budweiser Ford. So Terry Labonte we'll have to watch him. He's a past winner here.
Junior Johnson's cars have won more than any other owner in Bristol International Raceway competition. Look at Spencer now sneak right up on the back bumper. Oh, and Rusty Wallace runs into the rear end of Jimmy Spencer.
And we saw the debris flying where they made the contact. And that's what gives some flat tires to the racetrack. Jackaroo keeps talking about the racetrack, and there certainly is a problem, but debris off these cars can cause a flat tire as well.
The 25 car that we saw just a moment ago is Ken Schrader, and he too is in the battle for position. But Jimmy Spencer in car number 88 is 4th, and Rusty Wallace is 5th. The 7 car of Alan Kowicki is in 3rd spot.
Up to date on Terry Labonte's car. You aren't going to believe this, gentlemen, but checking with Tim Brewer, asked him what sort of adjustments did they make on the last pit stop. He said absolutely none. We haven't changed the car all night. In fact, they're a little upset with Terry. They said he can go even faster if we can just get him to go down low instead of searching for the high groove. That's That's kind of unbelievable to me.
Well, it could be, Jack, that the track is coming to him the way the car is set up. The track will change as the race goes along, and the car could have been a little tight early on, and now it's working to his advantage.
Well, then a lot of the drivers were complaining early on that the track was a little too tight for the way they set it up. In fact, during the stops, some of the initial stops, some of the teams did loosen the cars up. And those are the cars that seem to be not doing as well right now, so you may indeed be correct.
Terry Labonte was the winner of the Busch 500 back in 1984. This is his 22nd start here at Bristol. And he's already won twice in 1989 for Junior Johnson, but he will be leaving that team, of course, next year to form his own.
Black and white 55 right behind Labonte is Phil Parsons, but he went in the pits just a little bit ago and spent some time in the pits, so that's not the position, but Phil running awfully well.
There's Darrell Waltrip in car number 17. He is running in 8th position. Behind him is Bobby Hillin and Mark Martin. Both of those guys are a lap down. Harry Gant, the number 33 car, the green and white machine, is in 9th, and the final car on the lead lap. That's Harry Gant, and here we are riding with him. You can see Mark Martin there for a moment was side by side with Terry Labonte. Now they get into single file formation going through the corners. So Harry Gant is in 9th, the final car on the lead lap, as everything is being led by Dale Earnhardt from Kannapolis, North Carolina, with 173 laps out of 500 completed at Bristol.
It began as an idea on the sands of Florida's beaches. And today, it captures the gamut of emotion. It's a combination of art, science, and excitement. It's the NASCAR Weekly Racing Series. It comes to life every weekend at over 80 speedways across America. It's stock car racing at its colorful best. It's NASCAR, where legends are born.
It is from Kodak. It is for the advanced photographer. It delivers the highest resolution. Microfine grain. Superior image structure. It is called Ektar. Sounds like the most impressive color print film ever made? It is. New Ektar film by Kodak. The genius is in the details.
There's a rough road ahead with no end in sight. Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single American, European, and Japanese car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
So pistons are protected from friction mile after mile. Valves are protected from wear year in, year out.
That's why Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
We have a new leader. Number 3, Dale Earnhardt, has been so dominant in the last few laps, but he had to make a pit stop. A tire probably was the story. Is that right, Jerry?
That's exactly what happened, Bob. In fact, Earnhardt was a lap down now because of this right rear tire. He cut a right rear tire. You see a small sliver of cut here. You can feel the air coming out of the tire. A tough break for Earnhardt. But this car is so very fast. One lap down doesn't mean a lot to this team. Gentlemen.
Now, Alan Kulwicki has taken over the lead, Bob, and this is the first time. It's hard to believe that Alan Kulwicki has led a Winston Cup race since the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte back in May.
He has just had some miserable luck in the last few races, although he did put together a top 10, a 10th place finish last weekend at Michigan, and had a 5th at the Firecracker Pepsi 400 at Daytona. But he's also had a lot of engine problems that has really dropped him in the point standings. As a matter of fact, he was in the top 5 at one point, but he's leading here tonight over Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace as Dale Earnhardt is a lap down. But as Jerry indicated, that doesn't mean a whole lot if that car of Earnhardt's can work now the way it was earlier.
Yeah, he can run the leaders down. He's about 4 or 5 seconds behind them right now, but he is the fastest car on the racetrack, so I think he'll get back in the lead lap. He'll be a contender here before this thing's over.
Well, Phil Parsons in car number 55 is at least 2 laps down to the field, but this battle for the 6th position involves the 25 car of Ken Schrader and the 11 car of Terry Labonte. Meanwhile, back up front, it's a single file formation involving Alan Kulwicki, Jeff Bodine, and Rusty Wallace.
Now, this is one heck of a race right here. I'll tell you, folks, these cars are very evenly matched. Kulwicki passed Bodine a moment ago. Now it looks like Bodine wants to pass Kulwicki back, and Rusty Wallace, he's been watching the whole deal.
A Ford leads, a Chevy second, and a Pontiac third. And now Jimmy Spencer in car number 88 is being passed by Phil Parsons, who again is at least 2 laps down to the field, but he may have gotten things worked out on that car. Here is Bodine and Alan Kulwicki touching coming off the 4th corner.
Boy, you see a lot of good rubbing going on.
Boy, oh boy, what a race. Kulwicki just not able to drive away, but neither is Bodine able to get by Rusty Wallace. Again, watching everything, not able to get by these guys, and we know Wallace wants to lead desperately.
Wallace wants to lead desperately and wants to win desperately because he wants the Winston Cup after losing it last year. And look at Dale Earnhardt. He's on the march once again. Now remember, he's a lap down, so he's going to have to catch and run down the leaders and then hope for a caution, but he is definitely moving.
Yes, he is. He just moved around the 4th place car of Jimmy Spencer there and is pulled away from him. And those 3 cars up in front of him might be pretty tough to pass, but he is really on the move right now.
Dale Earnhardt is 10th at the moment, a lap down. Meanwhile, that battle for 2nd place is good now between Jeff Bodine and Rusty Wallace. There is Dale Earnhardt, and you can see how close he is to the lead pack. Once again, Rusty Wallace looking to the inside of Jeff Bodine, coming off corner number 4. Rusty tries to position himself to the inside and may have lost more than he gained on that deal. Here comes Phil Parsons.
Yeah, Phil is really running good now. Whatever problem he had, maybe he had a flat tire, but he lost a couple of laps. But that Crown Skull Oldsmobile is running very good. But here's Dale Earnhardt in the black car, right in the back of that 4-car pack. He's coming on. Look at Earnhardt trying to move on the inside of Rusty Wallace. That car, the Goodrich Chevrolet, is really handling good. He just had a tire to go down, but I don't think that's taken away too much of his chance of winning this race. He was driving it hard before then. He's just driving it a little bit harder now.
Dispensed of Rusty Wallace rather easy, didn't he, Benny?
Rather easily. We saw Bodine take a peek inside Kulwicki just a moment ago. They must be telling him on the radio that Earnhardt is coming. Get by Kulwicki because, ooh, look at Earnhardt. Gets by Phil Parsons.
Phil just moved high on the racetrack and let him go.
Now, one thing, when Earnhardt had to make his pit stop, Morgan Shepherd, he had put him a lap down. Now Morgan has gotten back in the lead lap. He's pretty far out in front of the leader, so he's riding pretty comfortably out there as long as they battle for that lead. Well, he's able to stay out there, and should another caution come out, Morgan Shepherd will be back in this thing.
Let's see if Dale Earnhardt can pass Jeff Bodine, 2nd place. Here he is, working to the inside. Once again, off the 4th corner. They come down the straightaway. Earnhardt and Jeff Bodine running side by side. Off the 2nd corner. They're still side by side.
So watch him drive her deep down on the inside. He'll get the position this time.
Yeah, he's got it.
Well, maybe not. He broke loose just a little bit coming over that turn. And couldn't get... Oh! Touch, and around Bodine goes. Boom! Into the wall hard with the back end.
Jeff Bodine hit it with the left front and then the left rear. And the 5th caution make it the 6th caution period of the evening is out. Jeff Bodine in the wall in turn 2.
And Dale Earnhardt did not get the lap back, did not beat Kulwicki back to the line, so he's still a lap down.
Bodine has gotten the car off the wall and is limping toward the pits, and I don't think he can steer it. Something is wedged there by their left front tire.
Well, plus the left rear tire is completely flat. You can see that it's almost off the rim. A lot of damage done to the Levi Garrett Chevrolet. Very tough break for him.
It looks like the frame is dragging on the car, and he barely can get the thing to move.
All right, so we're going to have pit stops once again. Jerry Punch is in Alan Kulwicki's pit.
Paul Andrews, Bill Engel, the crew, the ZRS crew going to work on Alan Kulwicki's car. And we'll change all 4 tires under this caution flag. Right side tires going on the car while Paul Andrews has the left side lug that's taken off. Bill Engel will scamper around the car, put the jack beneath it, and they will... Kulwicki on top, Rusty Wallace on the bottom of your screen. Rusty Wallace's car now off the jack. He is down and away, Kulwicki down and away, and they will drag race down pit road, and apparently Rusty Wallace will make the entry onto the track in turn 1 in front of Alan Kulwicki.
Yes, he did. He beat Alan onto the racetrack. as everybody's service has been completed now, and they go back out on the racetrack with the exception of Jeff Bodine, and they're trying to straighten that car out to get him back in competition.
It's going to take a little longer to service his car, Bob. A lot of damage done to it.
Jack Arute is right there.
Well, Bob, they had a little bit of a problem getting the frame up off on the left-hand side here. They had took 5 of their crew members to lift the car up. They now have it up off the jacks. They're pulling away the sheet metal. They've changed the right side tires. And one of the problems they're having is actually down by the brake ductwork and up by the front hub. They're using a sledgehammer to try and straighten things out, but this will be costly for Jeff Bodine, who ran so well. And now they're going to have to continue their work, and he'll go down at least 1 lap and maybe more.
Jeff Bodine, and here is a replay of what happened.
Well, Dale Earnhardt, trying to get back in the lead lap, just nudges Jeff Bodine as they come off of the second turn, sends Bodine into a spin, into the outside retaining wall, back in, hits it, jumps up high.
Hit it pretty hard, didn't
it? Yes, it did.
It looked like some awfully hard contact with the outside retaining wall. Here we see just a little bit of a nudge there.
Yep. And it didn't take much because the cars are so near out of control, Benny, when they go, especially coming off at the turn. And it just sent him around.
So, caution period number 6 on Bristol International Raceway and the Busch 500.
Every Dodge machine competing today. It's on the track and off the road. It's the new spirit of performance.
The new spirit of Dodge! The new spirit of Dodge! Get it on!
Fluids and mineral fat. Energy for hard-working muscles. Nothing better.
Howdy. Everything's up to date. Stopped you for speeding. You still live on the same address?
511, no wanton warrants on your subject or motorcycle.
Suppose you can remember we have a 55-mile-an-hour speed limit?
Yes, sir.
Have a nice day.
You too. Thanks.
To some, it's a job. To others, it's an obsession. If you demand performance from your car, protect it with Purelator filters.
Lap 205 and Morgan Shepherd's car has expired. We just went green and the car just literally blew up. Morgan Shepherd put out a lot of moisture on the racetrack in turns number 1 and 2. The caution flag came out immediately. Dale Earnhardt got the lap back.
And Morgan Shepherd had just gotten his lap back with that caution that came out when Jeff Bodine spun, and Morgan was in good shape to be in contention for the win, and then something happened to the Valvoline Pontiac. You can see Butch Mock, Bob Rahilly, and them with the hood up on the car. And I don't know, it could be an oil line off. I don't believe the engine is blown, so they're going to try to fix it.
All right, Rusty Wallace is the leader of the race, and here is how he has progressed to that point. He started 10th, was 7th at the end of 100 laps, was 5th at the end of 150. Now on lap 204, he is our leader, and Jerry Punch is with Barry Dotson.
Well, gentlemen, we've seen on the restarts Rusty Wallace's car seems to fade back in the early few laps. Let's find out from Barry Dotson. He's talking to his brother John Dotson here. Barry, what the problem may be with Rusty Wallace's car? Barry talking to Rusty right now, listening to what Rusty had to say about the car. Barry, your car seems not to be able to get going for a few laps when the green flag comes back out. What is that?
It's been tight, you know. We knew we had to race up here, but we didn't know it was going to rain. So we might have the wrong gear in it. If it gets a little slicker, we'll be good shape. So we just put a new set of tires on. Rusty said that's what we've been needing. So he said it really went good with the new tires. Maybe we'll be okay.
Well, they're hoping it'll be okay.
So they're cleaning up the racetrack.
What is that? Did he spin out or something? What's he doing now?
I think he did, yes.
You're kidding.
I think the truck was on the high banks up on turn number 4, and it slid down the banking. It wasn't going fast enough to stay up there.
You're kidding.
Well, we've seen about everything tonight, haven't we? And we're not even halfway through this race. And there it is.
There it is, just sliding down across the racetrack. Those guys sitting on the back there just taking a ride.
I bet they're thinking more, though. They're just taking a ride.
Hey, we're on TV, he said.
And there's the driver of the vehicle. Let's go to Jackaroot. He's with Jeff Hammond.
Well, Jeff Hammond, your car is beginning to run much better than it did early on in the race. What are the changes you've made?
Well, Jackie, right there at one time, the car got a little bit loose. It was on one set of tires, so we made a little adjustment, and it didn't really help us. So we've come back and made an adjustment, put some wedge back in the car, and he said it just got a little bit of run right there. The car felt like it was tight again. So we're just kind of chasing the track just a little bit and chasing tires. We're not bad off.
When you chase the track, you know, you did all your practice today in the heat and also during the day, and now it's a little more humid, but it's not quite as hot. How big a change have you had to make in your tactics for this race because of that?
Well, what happens is the racetrack, you know, they have a tendency to get slicker because of the sun, but tonight they'll get slick because of the asphalt itself will start, you know, getting a little bit feathered up. Plus, you start getting the track oiled down, so the conditions will be pretty close to what we saw this afternoon. So that's the good part about practicing the heat. It really helps.
They want some momentum because when they go to Darlington next week, they're looking for $1 million payday.
Indeed they are, and we'll have it live at 12:50 next Sunday afternoon here on ESPN. Our Winston Cup replay this week takes us back to the early 70s right here at Bristol International Raceway. Winston Cup replays are brought to you by the First Name and Filters Purolator Exceptional Protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. 1969, Bobby Isaac is on the pole for the Southeastern 500 at Bristol. And the track was just as tough back then. 3 abreast are Leroy Yarborough, Richard Petty, and David Pearson. A standing room only crowd of 28,000 are seeing some great action. Here's Dick Hutcherson finding the going tough. Number 6 is Chargin' Charlie Glotzback, and even Cale Yarborough loops the Wood Brothers Mercury. Isaac, after leading 229 laps, is out with a broken radiator hose. Donnie Allison and Buddy Baker are fighting for position. With 15 laps to go, Pearson, the leader, has engine problems, and Bobby Allison in the Mario Rossi Dodge wins for the second time in the 69 season. Late 69 instead of early 70s here at Bristol, but nevertheless some great action back then, and we're seeing some great tonight in 1989, and we'll be right back.
Filter designed to exceed all limits also excels within limits. Purolator filters.
Racing is more. Look what Wash and Fill of Defiance is offering. Interior cleaning. We understand that sometimes you're just too busy to properly clean your car's interior like you should. At Wash and Fill, you wait just a few minutes while we wash all windows and dashboards, plus thoroughly vacuum your car's upholstery and floors with our powerful equipment. We also wash your floor mats automatically, then vacuum them dry. With just a few dollars and a couple of minutes, Wash and Fill can completely clean your car's interior. Satisfaction guaranteed. Stop in today.
Kick off the NFL preseason with ESPN. You'll score extra points when you advertise your product or service on America's only 24-hour sports channel. Don't be left on the sidelines. Be a part of the hard-hitting action when America's premier football teams take the field. You're a winner when you advertise during NFL preseason football on ESPN.
Something for all of you.
For more information, call your Dimension Media Services representative today.
The NFL's legendary teams could battle to determine football's best ever. It's no longer a dream. It's the most unique and revolutionary concept in television sports history. NFL Dream Season. From Vince Lombardi's Packers to Joe Montana's 49ers, the NFL's most celebrated teams ever battle to make your dreams come true on NFL Dream Season, beginning Sunday, September 3rd on ESPN.
Back at Bristol, where the lead is being held by Rusty Wallace, and next Sunday, 8 days from now, the Winston Million, the Heinz Southern 500, live at 12:50 Eastern Time on ESPN. That's the race that Darrell Waltrip could win $1 million. It's part of Race Day America. Other live coverage that day includes the IndyCar race at Lexington, Ohio, the NHRA drag races, the U.S. Nationals at Indianapolis Raceway Park, and the IMSA race from San Antonio, Texas. The number 6 car of Mark Martin is shown at the moment in 14th position. He finds himself going into this race in 3rd position in Winston Cup points, 95 behind Dale Earnhardt. And our question was, how would you feel if you won the championship without winning a race?
I'd apologize to the racing world for not winning a race. I'd take that $1 million and grin like heck. You know, it'd be a tremendous accomplishment, no matter what. I mean, it don't matter how you get it. If you got it, you got it. If you win it, you take the $1 million, you smile, you say thank you, and you take it and use it for what it's worth. But I would probably apologize for not winning a race.
Well, I think I'd take the money and run too.
So would I. If I like him, I'd do a lot of grinning. I can tell you that.
And Bob Jenkins, you know, last week, Jackaroo did a Sterling Marlin crashed up in Michigan, and he said that the accelerator hung, that he had a problem with a Heim joint.
Yep.
And you asked
and I asked you what it was.
What a Heim joint was.
Right.
And I didn't have a clue. So Jackaroo, I asked him to find me a Heim joint. And hey, tell Bob Jenkins what a Heim joint is, will you, Jack?
And Benny.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Remedial Racing 101. Bob, this is a Heim joint. Benny, this is a Heim joint. Let me explain to you how it works. Okay, see, anytime that you have to have an axis this way and up and down, you utilize a Heim joint. That's got a little ball bearing in it with a hole through it, and that's where you put the bolt. This one is right off of Bill Elliott's car, off one of his throttle linkage. Remember at Watkins Glen, he had a Heim joint freeze up. Now, when it freezes up, it doesn't move properly and makes the throttle hang up. That's exactly what happened to Elliott and also happened to Sterling Marlin. Elliott at Watkins Glen, Marlin at Michigan. So far, no Heim joint problems here at Bristol, but I thought I'd educate you guys just a little bit from pit road.
Thank you very much, Jack. Now, my question to Benny, how'd the Heim joint get its name? Do you have any idea?
I didn't know what it was. How can I tell you where he got its name?
Guys, I know.
Okay.
Professor Heim.
I suppose that's right.
Yeah. He was from Heidelberg. Or was it Heimberg?
But you see, you know what? He's telling us something, and we don't even know if he's telling us the truth.
That's right. We'll never know.
I tell you, there's a fellow that's having some problems, and that's Bill Elliott. He's been in the pits. They got the hood up on the Coors Ford, and now they're putting it back down, but there's been smoke coming from under the hood. Bill is running one lap down. He's running in the 15th position right now, but he stays just one lap down as he goes back out. This is the second time that he's been in with the hood up on the Coors Ford.
You don't suppose Jack stole his accelerator link?
Could be. Let's take a look at those who have led a lap here so far. Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Alan Kowicki, and the current leader, Rusty Wallace. And also those that are out of the race now include Joe Ruttman, Derek Cope, Greg Sachs, Rick Wilson, Davey Allison, and Dick Trickle.
Now, Morgan Shepherd caused this problem that we have a tremendous amount of the quick dry down on the racetrack. That's why we're not back to green, guys. This thing, it would be so slick, it'd be like marbles out there. But Morgan Shepherd just came back in with the Valvoline Pontiac, so he did not blow an engine. Apparently, he blew an oil filter off or an oil line or something of that nature. And now we see that the tractor is going to blow the speedy dry down off the track. Let's go down to Jackaroo.
Well, gentlemen, the problem is you watch Bill Elliott exit the pits one more time. He's back and forth here on pit road. He has an overheating problem. Now, what they're doing is they're trying to refill the radiator and the water cooling system with this hose here. It's a quick-fitting hose that fits into an inlet right in the front of the car. They fill the pressurization. They try and fill it up with as much cold water as they possibly can to try and solve the heating problem. Now, Elliott's going to come back in. They'll have to do this several times. In fact, they'll do it as often as they can under the luxury of the caution. But a tough break for Bill Elliott. Not only self-admittedly out of the hunt for the championship, but now out of the hunt for the win in the Busch 500.
All right. right, and so we are under a very lengthy caution here while the work on the Elliott machine goes on as they're trying to soak up some of the moisture on the racetrack. Welcome back to Bristol International Raceway for the Winston Cup Series only race under the lights, the Busch 500. Our Speed World coverage is being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Busch Beer, the beer with a taste as smooth as its name. And by Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. Still under caution, they've got a tremendous amount of oil dry on the racetrack, and they brought out a blower onto the racetrack to kind of get it off of the racing surface itself.
Elmo Langley, the pace car driver, now says it's one of the worst oil spills that he has seen on a racetrack.
I tell you what, you suppose that, and Morgan Shepherd evidently has blown an oil line off the automobile, and there we see Morgan Shepherd's Valvoline, and all that Valvoline oil is on the racetrack, and these cars carry around about 24 quarts of oil. And Jerry Punch has something on this story.
Well, that's exactly what happened, Benny. You know, Morgan Shepherd, the oil cooler in the rear of the car, which is a very small radiator type device which the oil circulates through to stay cool, exploded inside the car and dumped 17 quarts of oil on the racetrack. Now, I asked a couple of crew chiefs, I said, how much is 17 quarts of oil? They said, well, enough to go around Bristol Raceway twice, and apparently that's where it is, all around the racetrack, completely covering the racing surface. So NASCAR, in the interest of safety, is trying to get that oil dry worked into the racetrack, but 17 quarts of oil is quite a bit. Unfortunately, Morgan Shepherd got the car cut off, so it didn't cook the motor. They were able to come in, replace the cooler, and get the Valvoline Pontiac back out.
Yeah, there is a lot of oil on the high side and the low side of the racetrack. There is Jeff Bodine in car number 5. He was involved in an incident with Dale Earnhardt earlier in the race. And let's go down to Jack Arute.
And Bob, I'm with Waddell Wilson, who's the crew chief on Jeff Bodine's car. First of all, the assessment of the damages to the car, Waddell.
Well, they got the left front and the left rear and was able to get the car fixed, but at the same time, you know, we've lost 3 laps, and it really hurt us because we were running pretty good tonight.
Pretty good, that's an understatement. The car seemed very, very strong, and in fact, much stronger than maybe we're used to here at Bristol for this team. How frustrating is it to the team when you have something like that happen?
Well, you know, we've come up here before with Jeff and run good. You know, we had to deal with Bill and lost that race. And, you know, we normally run pretty good here because this is one of Jeff's better racetracks. But, you know, tonight, him and Earnhardt was racing. They get together and we lose the car. So, you know, it's just one of those things. I really didn't see the wreck, so I can't comment much on that.
It's very disappointing for the crews down here. That's one of the things we should always remember. They don't get to see the replays, the luxury of the TV viewers, so they have to go home and punch in the VCR before they can tell exactly what might have happened to their race car.
All right, Jeff Bodine, of course, has already announced that he will not be back with this team next year. Well, it's always a surprise to me and probably to you too. What in the world will Benny Parsons' Hat of the Week be this week?
Since I started doing the Hat of the Week piece, I've had a lot of unusual hats, but none more unusual than this solar-powered hat. A little fan, as soon as the sun hits it, it starts turning and cools your head off. This is compliments of Shelby Green from Gaithersburg, Maryland. Now, in Robbins, North Carolina, there's a little 2-year-old girl, Paula Casey. She's having her 7th surgery. So the people around decided they'd have a celebrity auction, try to raise her some money. They've scheduled it for October the 28th, 5 p.m., the Davis Community Center. There's going to be lots of racing items, many other items to go by and bid for. October the 28th, 5 p.m., Davis Community Center, Robbins, North Carolina.
We'll be talking to Benny a little bit more about the Hat of the Week in just a moment when we return for more live action of the Busch 500 from Bristol, Tennessee.
From Rocky Mountain snow to Florida sun, Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Mine's pushing 250,000 miles.
Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
95,000 miles and no problem.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
This car's new. I'd be stupid not to use Quaker State.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
All of these championship-winning drivers have one thing in common: Goodyear Racing Eagles. The race-winning technology that's found in the Goodyear Racing Eagles can also be found in the Goodyear Eagle line of high-performance street radials, the best-selling performance tires in the world. Goodyear Eagles, for the spirit of a champion that's in all of us.
Unexpectedly, Rusty Wallace has come in for a pit stop and has completed it and goes back on the racetrack.
Took on 4 tires, so apparently he felt that maybe he had a tire going down or something in this caution. Of course, they've run through a lot of stuff on the racetrack, but it has been primarily the quick dry that they've put out there to soak up the oil that Morgan Shepherd put down, and I don't know, maybe the car just didn't feel right to him and he wanted to come in and get 4 new tires.
One of the crewmen went across and did a serious job of cleaning the windshield on Rusty's car. Maybe it was just simply a dirty windshield that he wanted to get cleaned up.
And while he was in, they put on 4 tires.
Exactly.
Because he's going to be at the back of the packet or back of the lead lap.
All right, now let's show you everybody that's out on the racetrack right now, and we'll try as best we can to tell you what position they are running in. The lead now goes to the number 7 car of Alan Kowicki, and remember, he was the pole sitter of this race and stands a chance of winning $136,800 in bonus money besides the amount that he would win for actually taking home the checkered flag here. The car to the outside, number 17, is Darrell Waltrip, and he is in 2nd position. Phil Parsons there in car number 55 is being shown 2 laps down in 16th position. Terry Labonte in number 11 is also on the racetrack right alongside of Phil Parsons, and he is being shown in the 3rd position now.
Then the next car behind that would be Ken Schrader. There we'll see Rusty Wallace and Fred Bodine as the cars follow the pace car off turn 4.
You can see the tremendous amount of oil dry that's down there to the inside of the racetrack that has been blown off the actual groove into the apron of the racetrack.
Here's how the point leaders are running. Dale Earnhardt, who is the leader in Weston Cup point standings, currently running 6th. Rusty Wallace, now after his pit stop, is running 8th. He's the last car in the lead lap. There are 8 cars in the lead lap. Mark Martin is 1 lap down, currently being shown in 14th place. He, of course, is in 3rd place in Weston Cup point standings. And Darrell Waltrip is running in 2nd place, who is in 4th in the point standings. And Davey Allison, who had moved up to 5th after last week at Michigan, now out of the race, so he has a good chance of dropping down. Bill Elliott wasn't too far behind him coming into this race.
Let's continue some of the guys that are still out there on the racetrack. Bobby Hillen still out there. The number 25 car of Ken Schrader is shown in 4th position. Also Neil Bonnet, Jimmy Spencer, Dale Earnhardt, Jeff Bodine, Ricky Rudd, Larry Pearson, Dale Jarrett, Harry Gant, and Morgan Shepherd. Some of the guys that are still out there on the racetrack. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
We're standing with Harold Elliott. Harold, why the unscheduled stop for Rusty Wallace?
Well, we had a flat left rear tire. Before Rusty knew it, our friendly Mac tool salesman came over from the back straightaway and told us because he could see it over there. So I guess we'll have to buy some more Mac tools.
Well, a break for Rusty Wallace. So a gentleman on the backstretch happened to see Rusty's left rear tire going down and came running over and told the crew. They brought Rusty in, and indeed it was going flat. So a break for Rusty Wallace.
How about that?
Yeah, that is unbelievable. And folks, believe it or not, I know you're not going to believe this, but we're about to go back to racing.
Had a nice opportunity to go to the refrigerator and get some refreshment, and now settle back for some racing as we go back to competition. The crowd on its feet, the green flag waves, and on lap 227, we're back to full speed. Look at Darrell Waltrip right on the back bumper of Alan Kulwicki. There is Terry Labonte in third position. Schrader running fourth, and Darrell Waltrip has the lead from Kulwicki.
Darrell Waltrip has the lead. Darrell's going to get those 5 bonus points. He's going to win all the millions. He wants to win the Winston Million and the Winston Cup Championship, which is worth $1 million.
It's very possible that in the next 2 months, Darrell Waltrip could win $2 million. $1 million next Sunday and $1 million for the Winston Cup. Here's how he went into the lead.
Well, Alan Kulwicki's car just broke loose as he started off at turn 2. Darrell had already committed for the inside of the racetrack, which was the right place to be when Kulwicki went high, and he moved right around him. Now it's pulled away from him. Here's Terry Labonte now working on Alan Kulwicki's back bumper, and Kulwicki's car not working quite as good now as we saw it working earlier. Larry goes high. Here comes Terry Labonte down on the inside. They touch.
Oh, boy, do they. And Labonte has second, and Kulwicki drops back to third. Now here comes Ken Schrader in the red number 25 car on the outside of Kyle Petty, who is not on the lead lap.
Schrader running in fourth. There's Dale Earnhardt running in the fifth position now in the black car. He got back in the lead lap.
Kulwicki's off the pace.
And from Kyle Petty's car, we could see Ken Schrader pass. Also, Kyle does, and something is wrong with the Alan Kulwicki car. Could be a tire.
Yeah, I'd say that he has a tire going down. He's trying to get it to the inside of the racetrack. Finally does, as the other cars shoot by on the outside, but he'll be coming to the pits. An unscheduled pit stop for Alan Kulwicki, and Jerry Punch is there.
That's exactly what he told the crew. He thinks he got a tire going down. They go to work on the right side of the car. Jack beneath the car. Billy Engel and the crew now trying to change the right side tires. They're looking and watching, looking at the left side tires. The right side tires going on. Waltrip goes by. Kulwicki will go 1 lap down. Still revving the motor. Jack is out, and Kulwicki is down and away. 13.5 seconds, but he will lose a lap here in the pits.
The race isn't over yet, but that could have been a $180,000 pit stop right there.
Flat, $180,000 flat tire, you're right.
Yep.
Tough break for Alan. It's not getting any better for Alan. He's having all kinds of problems for the last couple of months.
And while that was going on, Morgan Shepherd pulled his Valvoline Pontiac behind the wall over on the backstretch, so apparently whatever problem he had continued on.
And look at the lead that Darrell Waltrip has built up over Terry Labonte, who is now second. Third is Ken Schrader, and fourth belongs to Dale Earnhardt, and here he comes to challenge Schrader. Looking for third. Earnhardt moves to the inside and rather easily takes over the third spot, and Dale Earnhardt is once again on the move.
Well, we said when he got his lap down that wouldn't hurt his chances too much of winning this race tonight because the car was so strong, so dominant in the early part of the race, and once he got back in the lead lap, now he's on the march back towards the front again.
He's sneaking up on the number 11 car of Terry Labonte, who is in second.
He's not sneaking up. He's just driving up right behind him. He's not sneaking up on anybody this whole day.
And we have a problem on
coming
Ken
from
Schrader's
Ken
car.
Schrader. A lot of smoke off of his car coming off at turn 4. And as he goes into turn 1, let's see. Is it an engine? Will the smoke, their oil come out from under his car? He gets it down on the low side of the racetrack. Apparently not too much oil. Everybody else getting through the corner okay, but Ken Schrader in the Folger Chevrolet, a lot of problems.
And this is from Kyle Petty's car. As Schrader was able to go to the inside, and now here he comes in for a stop. Ken Schrader, who was running in fourth position, has a problem. They're going to go to the right side of the car and change tires. Jack, what else is going on?
Well, the engine is still running, Bob, so obviously it can't be a blown motor. But with all the smoke that's coming from beneath the hood, it could be that an oil hose of some sort has come loose. Now they are taking a look beneath the hood to try and ascertain what the problem is. One of the problems that they've got down here in pit road is an absence of a lot of light. So a crew member is trying to fire up a light here, but it looks terminal, and they're going to push him behind the wall. Let's go back up to you.
All right, Ken Schrader's number 25 Folger Chevrolet goes behind the wall. Meanwhile, Dale Earnhardt has passed Terry Labonte, and now here comes Earnhardt chasing down Darrell Waltrip.
That's better. Chasing is a lot better than sneaking up the way he's running.
He's He's on the move, sir. And that just leaves 7 cars in the lead lap after Kenny Schrader had his problem. And those 7 cars are Darrell Waltrip, who is leading, Dale Earnhardt in 2nd place. In 3rd place now is Terry Labonte. 4th is Jimmy Spencer. 5th, Harry Gant, and Rusty Wallace in 6th position.
There is Earnhardt, and now he is just within a matter of car lengths from Darrell Waltrip. Between the two is Hut Strickland in car number 57. Earnhardt is going to have the lead. There you see the interval. It's just a little more than a half second as Earnhardt goes wide in turns 1 and 2, but he's going to have the lead here in just a couple of laps.
What happened was Darrell Waltrip ran up behind Hut Strickland, and he had a problem getting by him. But Dale Earnhardt ran up behind him. He didn't have any trouble getting behind him. He just simply drove by him.
The interval now a half second, and it is closing. Waltrip and Earnhardt, 1st and 2nd. Nearing the halfway point of the Busch 500. 247 laps have been completed. Next time, it'll be 248. And here comes Earnhardt going to the inside of Darrell Waltrip.
While that's going on, Bill Elliott making an unscheduled pit stop on the green flag. Here comes Earnhardt.
Looking to the inside down the backstretch. Now we'll try to pull alongside of Darrell Waltrip in the 3rd turn. Still, he cannot make the pass, however, as Waltrip is doing a nice job protecting the position and holding off the challenge for the moment. Earnhardt a little bit sideways there in turn number 2, and this time it'll be the halfway point. 250 laps completed, and Darrell Waltrip is going to be the leader at the halfway point, but with a lot of GM Goodwrench Chevrolet in the rearview mirror.
Isn't that the truth?
They have run off and left Terry Labonte, who is running in 3rd place. Brett Bodine going another lap down. Brett having a tough night here after having a good qualifying run that involved a couple spins early in the race. Got the Bud Moore Motorcraft Ford out of whack a little bit.
There is the indication that we are at the halfway point.
Ken Schrader has come back out onto the racetrack after losing a lot of laps. Bill Elliott is still in the pits with the hood up on his Coors Ford. And he might be right now that he's out of the chase as far as the Winston Cup Championship is concerned after having trouble in this race tonight.
Still waiting to see if Dale Earnhardt can take over the lead from Darrell Waltrip. He has not been able to get by him so far.
That's surprising. Nick, isn't it surprising you that Earnhardt hasn't been able to pass Waltrip?
Well, yeah, because he caught him so quickly and that car's been working so well, you thought he'd be able to just drive around him. But Darrell's car is working pretty well, too. And certainly he knows his way around this racetrack because he has a lot of wins here. And so makes it awfully tough.
Here is a battle for 5th position. Harry Gant in 33 and 27. Rusty Wallace, meanwhile, up front. We thought maybe the lap car of Larry Pearson would play a part in what happened for the lead, but Darrell Waltrip was able to hold on. And here is Gant and Rusty Wallace slugging it out for 5th position. Now we're watching out the back glass of Harry Gant.
Rusty, like Darrell Earnhardt, trying to get around Darrell Waltrip. Well, Rusty Wallace trying to get around Harry Gant. He sneaks down on the inside, but he can't make the pass that time.
Again, this is 5th and 6th. 4th is Jimmy Spencer. 3rd is Terry Labonte. And now, here comes Rusty Wallace to drive by Harry Gant, and Rusty goes to 5th.
Boy, he did just drive by, and he got the inside groove, stepped on the accelerator, and just drove right around him. Now Gant's going to pull up and say, hey, how did he do that? Let me follow him for a little bit here.
I think he worried him a bit. I think he just rode behind him until Harry couldn't stand anymore. Said, go ahead.
Darrell Waltrip continues to lead the Busch 500. There is Earnhardt once again, knocking on the door. Darrell Waltrip has won 10 times here at Bristol. He won 7 in a row in 1981 through 84. Dale Earnhardt has won 7 races here at Bristol, 5 of the last 9, and he won 1 year ago tonight here at Bristol.
You start talking about 10 victories or 7 victories, numbers like that, Bob Jiggins, that's a career for a lot of race car drivers.
Sure is.
10 victories. Oh,
here we go.
Here we go.
Earnhardt is going to get it.
Boy, and he did make it look easy there.
Yep,
Yeah.
sure did.
Yeah, he just pulled up there and
said, it's time for me to take the lead, Darrell. See you later. And he did.
And he probably will. See him later.
So a change of leader once again, just past the halfway point, puts Dale Earnhardt back in command of the Busch 500 at a sold-out Bristol International Raceway.
Interested in a better hand soap? Not me. I can go. I don't need no lava soap, no. Regular soap won't always work, but lava with pumice will. Interested? No, no, no. Lava, the don't try to cope without it soap.
Here's the leader in compact trucks, Ford Ranger, with big advantages that Chevy and Toyota don't have.
Go with the leader.
Advantages like four-wheel drive at the touch of a button. Only Ranger 4x4 has it, standard.
Go with the leader.
And Ranger beats Chevy S10 in standard horsepower and torque. It's today's best-selling compact truck.
Go with the leader. Ford trucks.
See your dealer now for low financing or special savings during the official Ford clearance.
Fluids and mineral fat. Energy for hard-working muscles. Nothing's better.
You know, there are a lot of places where you can look for an auto part. But here is where you'll find it. Napa. We've got your part. In fact, we have more than 125,000 parts available. Napa has parts for imports and other hard-to-find parts, and at the right prices. So don't waste time looking anyplace else. Come to Napa first. We've got your part.
First and second at the Busch 500 Winston Cup race from Bristol International Raceway. The number 3 car of Dale Earnhardt leads the 17 car of Darrell Waltrip, and here's the field rundown at the end of 265 laps. Now, we've had 9 lead changes among 5 drivers so far here tonight. And what's very interesting, in case you're just joining us, Bill Elliott has pulled into the pit area. They're still working on his car. He was 6th in points going in, and so is not having a good night. And the car that was the driver that was 5th in points going into tonight's race, namely Davey Allison, is already out of the race. So we will go to Darlington next Sunday with 4 contenders for the Winston Cup.
There's Mark Martin about to go 2 laps down. Mark currently running in the 12th position. Well, he's dropped back to 13th now. Alan Kowicki was 13th, and Alan has passed Mark Martin.
Again, if you're just joining us, we have had no major incidents, no major crashes of any sort to this point. Davey Allison was involved in a crash. Sterling Marlin there on your screen, number 94, has been involved in more than 1 incident so far tonight, but he is still in competition. And it's been a very clean race. We're inside Sterling Marlin's car right now, watching second place Darrell Waltrip, and just ahead of him, the leader, Dale Earnhardt.
You notice he's running a little bit higher than Dale Earnhardt? That's good for one reason, because when he runs across traffic, he doesn't have to slow down as much as Earnhardt.
Car just ahead now is Rick Mast. Rick Mast finished 3rd, I believe, last night in the Busch Grand National race. Here's Dale Jarrett in car number 29.
Dale currently running in the 12th position right now, so he goes 2 laps down. Dale had been running pretty good, but he's got a set of tires on there now that's not working quite as well for him.
One of the drivers mentioned as a possible replacement for Ricky Rudd in the Kenny Bernstein team for next season.
Darrell Waltrip looked inside Dale Earnhardt coming off turn 4.
Yep.
Earnhardt looks like, again, his car's getting a little bit loose. Darrell Waltrip on the inside going in turn 3.
Let's see if Darrell Waltrip can go back into the lead and pass Dale Earnhardt. The crowd is on its feet, and are they cheering? They can't do it, though.
Earnhardt had to run off the turn. Darrell couldn't quite get the traction he needed, but he'll continue to work on it as they come up on Ernie Irvan in the Kroger Pontiac and put him another lap down.
He is currently 3 laps down, running in 14th position, Ernie Irvan. Earnhardt gets by. Here comes Waltrip. Now, here is Jimmy Spencer in car number 88, who is fourth. The 27 car of Rusty Wallace, fifth. And just behind is the 33 car of Harry Gant, who is in sixth position. Now, Spencer had quite a bit of racetrack between himself and Rusty Wallace just a few laps ago. Rusty and Harry Gant have caught him. And now they threaten to take away the position. That's Ricky Rudd in number 26, not on the lead lap. But here is Rusty Wallace now, trying to pull alongside of Jimmy Spencer as we see how it looks from Harry Gant's vantage point.
Well, Harry sees Rusty move down on the inside. He would like to do the same thing, but Rusty still hasn't been able to make that pass. He can get up beside of him, but he just can't get around. But looky here, Darrell Waltrip trying to make a pass too.
Waltrip has pulled up right on the back bumper once again of Dale Earnhardt and threatened to take over the lead coming out of turn number 4, but couldn't get the job done. But these cars are pretty equally matched. And speaking of being equally matched, Wallace almost got the position away from Jimmy Spencer, but couldn't. And boy, you got to take your hats off to Jimmy Spencer. He's doing a fine job.
Yes, he is, driving a great race here tonight.
Once again, inside Harry Gant's car, watching the battle for fourth position between Rusty Wallace immediately ahead and Jimmy Spencer just ahead of Rusty. Harry has thoughts of taking fifth away from Rusty, I believe.
Now Spencer has been able to pull away by a car length or so over Rusty. So Buddy Baker and the crew has the Crisco Pontiac of Jimmy Spencer working well.
He is pulling away, though, from both Rusty and Harry Gant.
Ricky Rudd up in front of him, pulling away. Ricky currently running in the 7th position. He's the first car that is one lap down. There are 6 cars now in the lead lap. Harry Gant running in the 6th position is the last car on the lead lap. There you can see him about to take fifth from Rusty Wallace, and does it.
Harry Gant moves into 5th position now, and Rusty Wallace drops back to 6th. And there is the shot from just outside Harry Gant's car.
So Rusty Wallace's car not working as well as we've seen him work on this racetrack and most other racetracks.
I would be surprised if Rusty has a mismatched set of tires or maybe even a tire that's a little bit slack now, losing a little bit of air because his car is dropping back dramatically, and that's unlike Rusty Wallace, especially in the last month or so.
So that battle has settled down somewhat, and so has the battle for the lead, as Dale Earnhardt now has a several car length advantage on Darrell Waltrip, and between the two is the number 21 car of Neil Bonnet. Darrell Waltrip next week for $1 million. We ask him, are you thinking much more about running for that $1 million next week at Darlington?
The lady in black, it reaches out and grabs you. You don't race anything but the track when you go there. And then you got to go down there and do all of that. With all of that, and think about $1 million. We're not talking about $1,000. We're not talking about $100,000. We're talking about $1 million. That's a stack of hundreds a show dog can't jump over.
Yeah, all right. Well, Darrell will go for it next Sunday afternoon live on ESPN at 12:50, part of Race Day America here on ESPN. Of course, he's the only driver eligible for the $1 million, and he's going to have the pressure on him, that's for sure. Right now, he runs in 2nd position to Dale Earnhardt. Mark Martin just had contact with the wall and is pushed in the right corner.
Yes, he has. The right front of that Stroh's Light Ford is really banged in. You can see it there as he gets it down on the inside of the racetrack. He'll be coming into the pits the next time around. Mark was running in the 13th position, 2 laps down.
You heard him tell our reporters earlier in the evening before the race started, despite the fact that he started well back in the pack, he had great hopes for this race.
Earnhardt loses it coming off of turn 4.
Dale Earnhardt slides through turn number 4 and does make contact with the wall. I thought he was going to save it and not make contact with the wall, but he did at the last moment, now scraping along the wall, now gets it off and continues on. Earnhardt has a problem.
But the toe end is knocked way out on the car. We see the right front wire. See the right front tire? It's going way out.
He can hardly turn it to the left.
Oh, we talked
We talk about incidents that could mean the Winston Cup, and we just saw one. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's in Mark Martin's pit.
Heavy sheet metal damage on the right front of the throttle light forward, and also the car is overheating severely. A lot of steam and smoke spewing from beneath the hood. As Dale Earnhardt also will be making an entry on the pit road here momentarily. A lot of steam now coming out of the Mark Martin car. Yellow flag. We're under caution here one more time. Here comes the Dale Earnhardt car in, rolling very slowly. Rolling very slowly. As he will now bring his car into a halt, and there the Goodrich crew now scampering to go to work on the Dale Earnhardt machine. Tough break for the three-time national champion. It will make a 4-tire change. Richard Childress now, the car owner, out there shouting in the radio as to exactly what they're going to have to do. Chocolate Myers slings the 11-gallon Unical can across the wall. Now Kurt Shelberdine scampers around in the right front of the car and will begin to try to pry some of the sheet metal away. They're talking to Earnhardt and will apparently try to see if they get that car fixed. The Mark Martin's crew, meanwhile, just behind the Earnhardt crew, trying to stay away from the car. Already crew chief and team manager Steve Meal has gotten a burn on his hand. They're trying to work on that car. Let's go up pit road to Jackaroo, where Darrell Waltrip is pitting. Jack?
And Darrell Waltrip has come to the service of the Tide pit crew, led by Jeff Hammond. They're cleaning the windshield. They're going to change 4 tires all the way around. In the meantime, the car that was running in the 4th position, that is Terry Labonte. Labonte is now completing his 4-tire stop as well. Labonte in front is just making a change on lefts and rights. Junior Johnson cleaning the windshield, but Darrell Waltrip will go out ahead of Terry Labonte. Labonte gets blocked in just for a moment by Ricky Rudd, but he's off and away as well.
It's tight down there in the pit area as half the cars are pitted here on the main straightaway and half on the backstretch, but still some pretty tight positions down there on pit road. Well, Darrell Waltrip goes back out onto the racetrack, and he'll be the leader when we come back for more of the Busch 500. Stay with us.
I never saw you hit so well. I'm here in 3, you're here in 1. Bill.
How'd you do, Jack?
In 3, out in 3. What are you doing? You're playing your best golf, and every time I look up, you're staring at TV. Saturday cartoons make you so good?
It's a special Golf Digest instructional video. The Golf Digest schools pulled 10 instant golf lessons from their 10-cassette collection.
Graphics, instruction, real professional advice, 10 instant lessons?
A half hour of the best stuff for a golfer.
It's priceless.
It's free.
Free?
With my subscription to Golf Digest.
Get a full year of Golf Digest for $16.77. Call 800-348-3300 now and get our free half-hour instructional video with your paid subscription. Call 800-348-3300 now.
All-out speed plus dangerous turns add up to one of the most treacherous stops on the circuit. Sparks will fly at the Grand Prix of Belgium, Sunday at noon Eastern on ESPN.
The work continues on Dale Earnhardt's car. He spun and hit the wall just moments ago. And by the way, we're on lap number 300. Let's go to Jerry Punch for a report on the repair work.
Well, compound problems for Dale Earnhardt and the Goodrich crew. First of all, the car is overheating as it sits here on pit road. They are spraying water in the radiator here in the front. That's Cecil Gordon and Richard Childress working on the front of the car. The primary problem from the contact with the wall out of turn 4 is a bent steering arm. An idler arm on the right side has been bowed in severely. They have a torch out there on the side of the car. They will melt that and try to get it straightened back around. Let's take a look and see what happened to Dale Earnhardt, gentlemen.
All right, and this is what happened. Earnhardt was approaching Jeff Bodine and Alan Kulwicki, and the car got loose in turn 4.
Yeah, he just went, the back end, as he went high, it went around. Now, they said it had an overheating problem. As he was sitting in the pits, there was a lot of water coming from the overflow, and maybe he got some water under his rear wheels, but he just spun it up there, not coming in contact with no other car, and it was... Mark Martin is still in the pits, so there momentarily while Earnhardt was in the pits, you see he's come back out now, but the first and third place drivers in the Winston Cup point standings were in the pits with big problems.
They're the top 5 now with 200 more laps to go. Waltrip is the leader, Terry Labonte is second, Jimmy Spencer third, Rusty Wallace fourth, and Harry Gant running 5th as we are about to go back to green.
You know,
looking at Rusty Wallace, last year is where he lost the Winston Cup point lead. He just might take it back this race.
That's a good point. Remember him last year at this time, he suffered a horrendous crash. As a matter of fact, Dr. Jerry Punch saved his life as he was involved in that crash during a practice session. He was not able to complete the entire distance, sought relief from Larry Pearson last year, lost the points lead here. Bill Elliott took over the points lead, went on to win the Winston Cup, and we could be seeing a total reversal of that situation here this evening.
Dale Earnhardt is 6 laps down.
And Jimmy Spencer in car number 88 and Rusty Wallace and Harry Gant are really going at it for third position. Here it is from Harry Gant's car. Number 42, Kyle Petty, is the car that was high, and everybody else going below him, including the 7th car of Alan Kulwicki.
Kyle has a problem because he's off the pace a little bit. He's running in the 7th position he was just a moment ago, just 1 lap down, but the car seems to be going very high in the turns. There he is again as Phil Parsons goes by. Here's the leader, Ricky Rudd, up there in the Quaker State Buick, trying to get back in the lead lap. He's only 1 lap down.
He is indeed. He's in 6th position, so Rudd is showing some strength here in the Quaker State Buick.
And one time he was 2 laps down. He got down as a result of making an unscheduled pit stop for a flat tire under green flag conditions, but he's fought his way back to 1 lap down, now trying to get back in the lead lap.
And there is the 2nd place car of Terry Labonte, number 11. The number 5 car of Jeff Bodine is not on the lead lap. And there's Terry Labonte's serial. 16th at the green flag, 12th at the end of 100 laps. He was 4th at the end of 200 and finds himself in 2nd place now at the end of 305 laps. And right behind him is Jeff Bodine, who was involved in a crash earlier in the race, and then Jimmy Spencer, the 3rd place car, and he's being followed closely by Rusty Wallace. Spencer now looking to the inside, trying to pass Jeff Bodine. He does so in the 4th turn. Here comes Rusty Wallace also.
Jeff Bodine being shown as 3 laps down. And Mark Martin continues to have problems. Let's go to Dr. Jerry Punch for a report on that.
Well, a number of problems with Mark Martin's car. Right now they pushed the car behind the wall, and Mark's still sitting in the car. Mark, what's the latest problem? What are they working on?
Well, Jerry, I can't hardly hear you, but just wasn't our night. You know, we had problems with oil leaks, water leaks. The water was spraying on the windshield. I couldn't see where I was going. Just a rough night for the Stroh's Light team. We're going to go get them at Darlington.
Mark Martin's still sitting in the car. Apparently, from what it looks like, they are changing the radiator, and they're going to try to get him back out. This Jack Roush team is a never-say-die effort.
And we have a spin over in turn number 2. Sterling Marlin has spun. And the yellow flag comes out. Did the leaders take the yellow?
No, I don't think so. And Ricky Rudd, if he can race Darrell Walker back to the line, I think Darrell just suddenly realized that. Here's Rudd trying to get out on the inside.
And
he's trying to get back in the lead lap.
Oh, it's going to be close. No, he's not going to do it. Rusty held him off. Oh, tough break for Ricky.
You mean Darrell? That's the guy driving the orange and white car.
Yeah, but a tough break for Ricky, because if he would have gotten around Darrell, I think we could see Ricky Rudd right in the thick of things.
Yeah, because he's really running good now. He's been running good all night, but not. He has been down as a result of that unscheduled pit stop. Now, Jimmy Spencer in the 88 car had just passed Terry Labonte, and Terry Labonte says, hey, my car's not working right. I want to come into the pits and get some new tires on the Budweiser Ford.
Excuse me, Bob Jenkins, it was a terrific break for Terry Labonte because it looked like his car was starting to drift backwards. He gets a caution flag.
And they're changing rubber on the right side. Jerry, go ahead and explain it for us.
Well, they are going to change 4 tires for Terry Labonte. You're exactly right, Benny Parsons. Labonte's car was drifting back, and they were very, very concerned about possibly having a tire going down. It's with a break for Labonte and the Budweiser crew. Now Tim Brewer, Mike Hill, Pete Wright, and the crew now changing right side tires, and they are now working on the left side of the car. 4 fresh tires and a little bit of fuel for the banquet Budweiser Ford as he makes his way back to turn 1.
And behind him pitted was Dale Earnhardt. They're continuing to work on that car. Earnhardt at the moment is 6 laps down in 17th position as Terry Labonte rolls back out onto the racetrack. We're under our 9th caution period of the evening. This for a spin over in turn 2 involving Sterling Marlin. Back with more right after this.
like me are doing our part to help fight muscular dystrophy. And you can too. With every Budweiser or Bud Light you buy through Labor Day, you'll help make a contribution. So come on, join the team.
Just gone green. Cars move into turn number 2 after receiving the green flag on lap 317. We are back to racing, and Alan Kowicki in car number 7 is 1 lap down, but he may have things going his way now. He'll be trying to get his lap back. So is Ricky Rudd in the number 26 green Quaker State car. The second place car is now the 88 machine of Jimmy Spencer, and third is Rusty Wallace in 27. And here is Rudd still trying to get that lap back.
He really did try. Almost got it back on that last caution flag, but he was unable to get by Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip is your leader. There's second place Spencer and third place Wallace. Rudd once again looks inside. In car number 33 and Terry Labonte in car number 11 are racing for position. This would be for 4th.
Phil Parsons still running good in car number 55. He lost some laps on a green flag pit stop, but he's running good out there now.
We have 5 cars on the lead lap. Labonte is the 5th car. And then a lap down is Rudd and Kowicki. Also, Bobby Hilton is a lap down in 8th position. Kyle Petty is a lap down in 9th, and in 10th, 2 laps down, is Dale Jarrett.
And Neil Bonnet is also 2 laps down. He's in 11th position. Only 2 drivers that are 2 laps down. That is Jarrett.
Kyle Petty spins down the back straightaway.
Oh, he hits a wall hard. Kyle Petty slams the inside wall off turn number 2 and brings out another caution. He hit it pretty good.
He did hit it pretty good. Yes, he was. And Kyle was running 1 lap down in 9th place in the Peak Uniden Pontiac that's prepared by Gary Nelson.
So another caution flag on lap 325. The ambulance right there.
Well, we can see smoke coming from the left side of the Pontiac.
Let's take a look at a replay, see if we can determine what happened. He's already spun and has slid down into the wall at this point.
Well, he did hit it hard with the front end of that car before it spun around and then touched the wall backwards.
So Kyle Petty crashes here on lap number 325 at the Busch 500. We'll be right back.
The product, the vehicles, the testing grounds, the results. STP oil treatment is the edge.
Like the comfort of Levi's jeans. Or had you forgotten?
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
95,000 miles and no problems.
Because Quaker State exceeds every single car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Tie rod up. Tough break.
Back at Bristol International Raceway, and Kyle Petty's car is still being taken from the racetrack. He hit the wall coming off of corner number 2, slid down the track and hit the inside wall. And so we are still trying to get the car off of the racetrack. Meanwhile, it is Darrell Waltrip who is leading this race under our 10th caution of the evening.
And 5 drivers in the lead lap. Darrell Waltrip, Jimmy Spencer, Rusty Wallace, Harry Gant, and Terry Labonte.
Bill Elliott has dropped out of competition here in the Busch 500. He was 6th in points. We asked him his feelings about Darrell Waltrip trying to equal his feat in 1985 by winning the Winston Million next week at Darlington.
Well, I kind of feel for him in a certain way, but still, yeah, he's in a lot better position than I was in 85, simply because of so many things that's happened. The first year had been offered as far as the Winston Million's concerned, and all the pressure I was having to deal with otherwise, and I didn't know how to deal with it. I'll just flat be honest with you. And I think Darrell is a good enough, he's pretty much set in his team, and everything else around him, he's pretty much, got focused on what he's got to do, where I was still, having to deal with fans, having to deal with sponsors, having to deal with this, having to deal with that, and still having to learn a lot about what's going on anyway. But, he'll be tough to beat there, but still, there's going to be, 39 other guys that's going to try to prove him the other way.
So that's how Bill Elliott felt back in 1985, and talking about the pressure that is on Darrell Waltrip next Sunday, live on ESPN at 12:50 as Darrell goes for $1 million. For those of you not familiar, the Winston Million, and here is the replay now of the spin from Kyle Petty's car.
Well, he's in some very close competition. See Bobby Hillen up in front of him there. And I believe that was Jeff Bodine that he was right behind as the car then goes spinning around, and wham, you can hear it hit the wall, almost feel it, and then back down to the inside wall. And that's where it wound up.
And now a real time. This will... And that's the way it sounded to Kyle Petty, and as Ned said, you could almost feel the hit.
I tell you what, I could. I could.
Just to elaborate once again, for those of you unfamiliar with the Winston Million, there are 4 races that make up the Winston Million. If you win 3 of the 4, you win $1 million, and Darrell has won 2 so far, going for $1 million next Sunday.
Have you driven a Ford?
Now, during the official Ford clearance, get low 2.9% financing or $1,000 cash bonus on Ford Escort and Ford Tempo. Plus, get 2.9% financing or a $1,500 cash bonus on Thunderbird. Combine the cash bonus with option package discounts and save over $1,700 on Escort, $2,000 on Tempo, and get over $2,400 in total value on Thunderbird. Just some of the great values at your Ford dealer now during the official Ford clearance.
On earth that I'd rather be than out in the open where it's all plain to see. If it's gonna get done, it's up to you and me. There's no place that I'd rather be. Head for the mountains of Busch. Head for the mountains of Busch. Beer.
Presenting the newest idea in keeping things cold and the oldest idea. The new Coleman flip-top cooler and the big hunk of ice. Both come in a choice of sizes, but the Coleman cooler also comes with a lid you can't lose.
Bumper that has come loose, but the nice thing about these new cars that we're using is they have rubber bumpers. So there's really no concern right now as long as it doesn't rip away any further. It'll just drag along, there'll be no sparks, and no concern right now.
Isn't affecting the car, it would appear, as he's holding his position in 3rd at the moment. Just ahead of him is Jimmy Spencer, who is in 2nd spot. And here comes a whole bunch of cars, including Terry Labonte in car number 11, and he is the 4th place car. There is Jimmy Spencer in number 88, the blue Crisco car. And here comes Terry Labonte in number 11. He's one of 5 cars on the lead lap.
And he made a pit stop, Bob, during this last caution period. He was running in 3rd place. Jimmy Spencer had just passed him, but now Jeff Bodine about to go under Terry Labonte.
And we're riding with the man who is the only other one on the lead lap. In 5th, Harry Gant. That's Jeff Bodine just ahead, and Dave Marcus to the left as Gant tries to move through the traffic. Gant's had a good run. He had a good run last week at Michigan.
Harry Gant has had some good runs. He had the victory in Darlington early back in March, I guess it was. Hasn't had one since, but he's been there knocking on the door several times.
Now, as we ride with these guys in their cars, it would appear to us as if you can't see very far around the corner. Is that right? When you go in, you're basically looking at pavement, aren't you?
That's true. All you can see, we can't see anything. We can see, what, 50 yards in front of us? That's about all. And you travel that in about a second. So if anything should happen in front of you, normally you're in the action.
Rick Mast now to the left of Harry Gant. Phil Parsons at car number 55, hanging in there. Phil shown in 13th position, 3 laps down. And Mast is 14th, 4 laps down. Mark Martin is back in the race in car number 6.
He's a lot of laps down. He lost a lot while they were working on it. He came back out, ran a few laps under green, then went back into the pits, back out on the racetrack now, trying to pick up as many points as he possibly can. In fact, we're showing him as 35 laps down.
And we saw another guy that's several laps down too, Dale Earnhardt in car number 3. He is 6 laps down to the field in 16th position. He spun and hit the wall earlier, in case you just joined us. Dale Earnhardt did, and has fallen well off the pace.
Here's Terry Labonte coming up on Jimmy Spencer. Spencer's car doesn't seem to be working quite as well now. He's dropped back behind the leaders, and Terry Labonte, who is running in 4th place, about to take over the 3rd place from Jimmy Spencer. At least he's up there in position to do so.
So Rusty Wallace is now 2nd to leader Darrell Waltrip, and 3rd is Jimmy Spencer, 4th Labonte, and 5th Harry Gant, as those 3 cars are running very close to each other.
Labonte takes a look inside of Jimmy Spencer and comes off turn 4, side by side with the start-finish line. Spencer comes back,
holding his spot. The amazing thing to me is this is the first Winston Cup start for Jimmy Spencer here at Bristol, and we're inside Harry Gant again. Oh, you see contact there between Labonte and Spencer.
Certainly could. Labonte made the pass as they came together a little bit. You could see the smoke fly when they did get together.
So Labonte moves to 3rd now.
I don't like that shot. Looks like Harry Gant spinning out to me.
He's got Jimmy Spencer right ahead of him, and Jeff Bodine to his left.
He's got his hands full with what you're saying, and you're right. Darrell Waltrip has some type of problem because Rudd and Alan Kawicki has gotten by him.
That'll put both of those drivers back in the lead lap.
So we will have now 7 cars in the lead lap, as Ricky Rudd, who's been trying many, many laps to get back on the lead lap, has, and so has Alan Kawicki. And here is Jimmy Spencer, who is apparently having some type of problem with his car as he's falling back and lost a couple of positions.
Yes, he's not running as good as he was earlier.
This is Harry Gant's car, the camera mounted on the right side. You can see how close to the wall these cars come as they swing off the corners. Let's go to Jack Arud, who can speculate on what's wrong.
Well, actually, I think we can tell you what's wrong, Bob. It seems as if the car has begun to get very, very loose. Not surprising, because they have not been on pit road. We've had a lot of cautions, but they've not taken advantage of it in hopes of gaining some track position. And now it's just that the tires are maybe just giving up a bit on Jimmy Spencer.
All right, so Jimmy continuing to fall back. Now back to 5th position. Meanwhile, Darrell Waltrip may have a problem. Jerry, can you fill us in?
I just spoke with Jeff Hammond, who said that the car is so very loose that Darrell's having a difficult time driving it. That they have a mismatched set of tires on right now. And so Darrell's opted not to try to push the car and possibly spin it out and tag the wall. He decided to go ahead and let Ricky Rudd and Alan Kawicki going around him. He's going to try to ride it out, maybe try to lead as many laps as he can, and hope for a yellow flag and get some more tires on. Gentlemen?
Well, he still has a rather comfortable lead on Rusty Wallace, but we'll keep our eye on that situation and see if the interval closes. There you can see the interval as Darrell is in the extreme left part of your screen. Now coming down the straightaway will determine exactly how much separation there is between the two. Rusty crosses the line. It's 5 seconds exactly. Meanwhile, we'll pick up on this battle here involving Terry Labonte and Harry Gant.
And Harry Gant has just moved around Terry Labonte. He passed him coming into turn 3 and has taken over the 3rd position.
Harry Gant up to 3rd now. We look back and see Terry Labonte, who's in pursuit. Laps are winding down. We're 358 into 500.
I think the racetrack has changed, fellows, and we're seeing a lot of cars that are slipping and sliding out there on the racetrack. It's getting very, very slick.
I think that Jerry Punch hit on something a little bit ago. There has been a lot of caution flags, but all the fellows are just afraid of losing that track position, and they're not coming in to get on tires. There we see Darrell Waltrip, who is the leader of the race, Alan Kawicki in front of him, a couple of laps down, and Rudd.
It was 5 seconds separation just a few laps ago. We'll see how much there is now. Well, he's lengthened the lead a little bit, but Waltrip is going to have to contend with a little bit of traffic here in the next few laps as Rudd and Kawicki, who are ahead of him, are approaching some of the other cars. We'll check the interval once again. It was 5 seconds. It was almost 6 seconds. And now let's see what it is. It's 6.1 seconds. So
actually, he's gaining, but Rusty Wallace is not running as good as are Harry Gant and Terry Labonte, who are running in 3rd and 4th place. They're coming up on Rusty. It won't be long until they'll be catching up to him as Darrell Waltrip moves around Dale Jarrett. And you can see the Mark Martin car there, number 6, and there's Alan Kawicki and Ricky Rudd right in front of Darrell Waltrip. Looks like Darrell's picked back up a little bit now.
So Waltrip continues to lead, looking for win number 11 here at Bristol International Raceway. He has won 10 times on this racetrack and owned it back in the 1981 through 84 period when he won 7 consecutive races on the .533 mile high banked oval. We'll be back right after this.
Racing is more
look like fun. It can drive you buggy. Want an easier way? Let Wash and Fill do your dirty work with gallons of soft water and gentle cleansing suds. No leaky hoses, no smelly gooey bugs, no hot driveways. Just drive on through.
Hey, use us as necessary.
Wash and Fill in Napoleon and Defiance.
Dimension Cable Services says thanks to its subscribers for helping reach 1 million customers. For over 20 years, Dimension Cable has been striving to provide the highest quality entertainment for their viewers. Morning, noon, and night, Dimension Cable Services gives you romance, music, fun for the kids, sports, news, mystery, comedy, and much more. Now 1 million strong, Dimension Cable customers enjoy the best in cable television 24 hours a day. Dimension Cable, with something for all of you.
And is your ticket to Sunday night NFL when the Chiefs and Bears go head-to-head. The Chiefs paint on their game faces with a hard-hitting defense that's always on the warpath. Iron Mike Ditka and Chicago are ready to bear down and return to the top of the NFL. Mike Patrick and Joe Theismann bring you the head-to-head action of Sunday Night NFL at 8 Eastern, live on ESPN.
There's a lot going on here at Bristol International Raceway in the Busch 500. Darrell Waltrip in car number 17, the Tide Chevrolet, leads with 130 laps to go, but there are a couple of cars who are not doing so well. One car that is doing very well is Harry Gant, however, as he has moved into 2nd position, passing Rusty Wallace, and we are riding with Harry at the moment. Now we'll replay and show you how Gant went into 2nd.
Well, he went in behind Rusty Wallace going into the turn, dips down on the inside, gets the nose up under there, and then as he goes into the turn, he dives down on the inside. Wallace's car slips high, and Gant just drives right on by him.
And so
Rusty slows down the front straightaway.
And here is Terry Labonte's pass of Rusty Wallace that happened a few laps ago. And now as we see this replay, as Terry Labonte went into third spot, Rusty Wallace is definitely having his problems on the racetrack. And here's a spin off of corner number 4. It's Dave Marcus backing into the wall on the inside of the racetrack. A lot of smoke obscuring the visibility to the other drivers coming off the corner, but everybody is okay. And Dave Marcus will get his car headed in the right direction.
And Alan Kowicki and Ricky Rudd stayed in front of Darrell Waltrip, so that puts them back in the thick of this thing. They're back in the lead lap.
And the spin occurred just ahead of Rusty Wallace. There it is. Marcus coming off 4, loops it.
And Rusty, when he got in the smoke, had no more idea where Dave Marcus was than he knew where I was.
And here are the leaders coming down pit road. And Jerry Punch is there with Darrell Waltrip.
Tide Chevrolet crew will go to work on the lead car of Darrell Waltrip, a 10-time winner here at Bristol Raceway, as they will clean the windshield. Very important part of the job there. They're cleaning the windshield, changing right side tires. Jeff Hammond will scamper around, slide that jack beneath the big bright orange Tide Chevrolet Lumina. Eddie Dickerson puts the left front tire on. Sandy Jones, the left rear. Bill Wilbur carries the tires. Mike Powell's got his gas completely down off the jack, and Waltrip down and away. The first car off pit road. He will continue to lead here. Also, as Terry Labonte, as he's also had some service. Let's check in over here against pit with Jack LaRue.
Well, Jerry, as you know, Harry Gant is pitting on the backstretch, so he's brought the lead cars down here. He's running in second place. They've elected as well to go to right side tires and left side tires. They do not want to gamble. They will change all 4 all around. Leo Jackson cleaning the windshield. The crew goes to work. A very quick stop so far. Harry Gant waiting patiently behind the wheel. Has the car back in gear, waiting for the drop of the jack and the signal to go. He drops it in, tries to spin right out and gets right back out of the racetrack.
And a little bit of a disadvantage by pitting on the backstretch because the green flag opens up pits on the front side first.
So the pit stops have been completed. We'll be set for green right after this.
Beechwood aged for the taste so crisp and clean, so refreshing. It's the king of beers.
This Bud for you.
Back at Bristol, where again we have just gone green. There's the leader of the race, Darrell Waltrip. There are 3 cars ahead of Darrell. Well, there were. Now there are only 2, and the reason there are only 2 is because Jimmy Spencer jumped the flag as being given a stop-and-go penalty. There he goes away.
Now, he had just gone a lap down before this caution came out, so he's back down 1 lap now.
Now here's Rusty Wallace going to the inside of Terry Labonte in car number 11, looking for second position. There is second, third, and fourth right there. It is Labonte, Rusty Wallace, and Ricky Rudd. And in my opinion, the driver we're going to have to watch out for the remainder of the race is that green Quaker State Buick of Ricky Rudd. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who has a comment on Jimmy Spencer.
Well, gentlemen, take a look at the left rear of Jimmy Spencer's Pontiac. They have the ratchet sticking out of the rear window. When Spencer made that stop-and-go penalty, the crew put a ratchet in to make an adjustment, and it is still sticking in the window. Now here is Spencer. He comes sliding on the pit road. The crew will grab it off, and now he is away. But a costly miscue there on the Crisco crew.
Jerry, that has put him 2 laps down now. And the fellow that was riding in second, third place a little while ago now finds himself 2 laps down.
So Jimmy Spencer, after running in the top 5 for many, many laps, having a great run, now goes 2 laps down.
Davey Allison is back out on the racetrack after several hundred laps down, but he's back out there.
He was involved in a crash earlier today, but is back in competition. Meanwhile, Darrell Waltrip trying to put another lap on Jeff Bodine in car number 5. Bodine also involved in a skirmish. Terry Labonte right there in second position. Then comes Wallace and Rudd and Alan Kowicki, who is also on the lead lap. And the other car that's still on the lead lap is Harry Gant. There are 6 at the moment on the lead lap. Here's Waltrip passing Jeff Bodine into corner number 3. As you can see, Dale Earnhardt has gotten 1 of his laps back, but still 5 down.
Yeah, he's running out in front of Darrell Waltrip. That's a black car out in front of Darrell Waltrip.
Waltrip, he doesn't seem to have the speed he had just a moment ago before this caution flag. Maybe he got a mismatched set of tires, or maybe in just a few laps his car will be back as strong as it was before.
Well, he certainly didn't get the good start, Benny, when the green came out. The car just didn't seem to want to go. He didn't get past, but on the other hand, he wasn't particularly fast on the restart. There's Harry Gant in 6th position. Let's go to Jerry Punch. Or, sorry, Jackaroo.
Well, the problem with Harry Gant, we talked about his pit stop. He has lost the clutch on that car. The clutch is faulty, and he is having problems there. That is going to be costly if they have to come back down the pit road at all.
So Harry Gant will struggle now to maintain that 6th position. Well, although as long as he doesn't have to pit, it isn't as bad as it could be.
That's exactly right, and he can make it the rest of the way on fuel, so if the caution flag should come out, Harry Gant obviously will stay on the racetrack.
And that's one thing we should also point out. We pitted on about lap 374, and we have no more cautions. We won't see any more pit stops.
Exactly.
You know, Alan Kowicki has gotten himself back in the position for that big money here tonight. He's fought his way back into the lead lap, and look at him there running with Ricky Rudd and with Rusty Wallace. So, hey, he's still there. Let's go to Jerry Punch for a note on Ricky Rudd.
Well, gentlemen, Ricky Rudd and the Bernstein team have been struggling all year long. They've been trying to run up front, but they've had their troubles, except with the exception of Sears Point. A couple of weeks ago, I spoke with John Daniel. We were up at Watkins Glen, New York. He said, hey, we've got something for him in a couple of weeks. We found some major breakthroughs in the horsepower department, in the head and intake area. It will not become apparent probably until Bristol, but at Bristol, we should have something to show him, and I believe he was exactly right.
I definitely think you're right, Jerry. That car has been strong all evening, and despite the fact that he has gotten laps down, is now back in contention for the win.
Well, he certainly is not a lame duck driver. It's already been announced that he'll be moving to the Hendrick Motorsports team and drive that car number 5, the Levi Garrett Chevrolet that Jeff Bodine is in. But Ricky Rudd is going to try to win every race he can for Kenny Bernstein and Quaker State.
Awfully good race we have going for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Darrell Waltrip, we saw the orange and white car in front of this. He's about 15, 20 car lengths ahead of this pack, and Dale Earnhardt in the Goodwrench Chevrolet jumped out in front of Darrell Waltrip a moment ago, but he's easing back now, and he is 6 laps down.
Yep, he had got back where he was only 5 laps down, but Waltrip has moved around him now, so that puts him 6 laps down once again. Looked like a little smoke, might have been tire smoke coming from Earnhardt's car as he went around that turn.
Yeah, I've been noticing that for several laps, but I think it is tire smoke. Drops down now as Rusty Wallace passes by on the high side, and so will Ricky Rudd. Alan Kowicki will try to pass Dale Earnhardt.
And Earnhardt moves over and lets him go. He really doesn't fight it. He knows that he's out of it as far as the win's concerned here tonight. He just wants to ride it out. Try to stay up there in the lead in the Winston Cup point standings.
Well, again, we're going to see a tightening of the point standings if things should end the way they are right now, with Dale Earnhardt experiencing problems and at the moment being shown in 15th position, whereas Rusty Wallace, who is 2nd in points and 82 back going into this race, is in 3rd. Mark Martin has had his problems tonight, and Darrell Waltrip, who was 4th in points going in, as you can see, is the leader of this race. We're going to see it tightening again as we go to Darlington. And there is Alan Kowicki still looking for the Unocal bonus money amounting to $136,800 in addition to the prize money for winning the race. There is the amount of track that he has to find. There is Hut Strickland, by the way, in car number 57. Hut had a fine run last weekend, but has not been on the pace tonight.
Darrell Waltrip, and we'll go back to Alan Kowicki with the camera, show the distance, and that's all it means. Oh, Kowicki trying to get inside of Ricky Rudd, but that's all there is for 136,000. Alan should be no problem.
Yeah, right. Kowicki looking inside of Rudd. This is the battle for fourth. Here is Kowicki side by side with Rudd at the line. Oh, he's going to have to back off. Yeah, because of Hut Strickland.
Boy, he had position, too. Don't you know he hated to see that 57 car up there in front of him.
May not get the opportunity for the next few laps.
Well, he'll certainly have to work and set himself up again.
Let's take a look at our Napa race summary. Leader Darrell Waltrip has led 139 of the 400 laps at an average speed of 81.668 miles an hour. 5 leaders, 10 lead changes, 11 caution laps, or rather 11 caution periods for 70 laps, and at the moment we have 6 cars on the lead lap. Jeff Bodine, Dale Earnhardt, Darrell Waltrip, Alan Kowicki, and Rusty Wallace have led. As you can see now, Alan Kowicki has taken over the position from Ricky Rudd. Out of race, Joe Ruttman early in a crash. Derek Cope dropped out, so did Greg Sachs, Rick Wilson, and Dick Trickle. Morgan Shepherd, Michael Waltrip, Ken Schrader, Kyle Petty, and Bill Elliott also are out of competition. Alan Kowicki has now moved into the 4th position. Waltrip leads. Labonte is 2nd. Wallace is 3rd. And then comes Alan Kowicki. We will be back with more from Bristol International Raceway. Live coverage of the Busch 500.
You know, there are a lot of places where you can look for an auto part. But here is where you'll find it. Napa. We've got your part. In fact, we have more than 125,000 parts available. Napa has parts for imports and other hard-to-find parts, and at the right prices. So don't waste time looking anyplace else. Come to Napa first. We've got your part.
Here's the leader in compact trucks, Ford Ranger, with big advantages that Chevy and Toyota don't have.
Go with the leader.
Advantages like 4-wheel drive at the touch of a button. Only Ranger 4x4 has it, standard.
Go with the leader.
And Ranger beats Chevy S10 in standard horsepower and torque. It's today's best-selling compact truck.
Go with the leader. Ford trucks.
See your dealer now for low financing or special savings during the official Ford clearance.
It is from Kodak. It is for the advanced photographer. It delivers the highest resolution. Microfine grain. Superior image structure. It is called Ektar. Sounds like the most impressive color print film ever made? It is. New Ektar film by Kodak. The genius is in the details.
It's all up for grabs, from the Heisman Trophy battle to the shootout for number 1. We'll preview the '89 season because it's time to count down to kickoff. Wednesday night on ESPN.
Darrell Waltrip's tied Chevrolet leads the Busch 500, and Chevrolet has won 26 of the last 37 races here.
I think Junior Johnson's Chevrolet won about 23 of them, though. He's won a bunch.
And, of course, the Lumina has never scored a victory here at Bristol, looking for its first. Now, and here is Alan Kowicki, who has passed the 27 car of Rusty Wallace, and now Kowicki finds himself in 3rd spot.
And talking about Junior Johnson's car, Terry Labonte is running 2nd in that Budweiser Ford, and he is gaining on Darrell Waltrip.
And a good battle here between Ricky Rudd in 26th and Harry Gann in 33, and Harry's got a good car.
He might be one of the fastest cars on the racetrack, but just like Ned Jarrett said, the 11 car, Terry Labonte's gaining on the lead. We've got a race going all the way around the racetrack. Anywhere we look, there's a race. Look, Harry. Ooh, did you see the sparks from Ricky Rudd's car?
Only got 78 laps to go, friends, so don't go away because this thing is far from over. We're watching Harry Gant and his battle with Ricky Rudd for 6th.
And Ricky Rudd and Rusty Wallace having a bit of a battle themselves. Rudd's on the inside of Rusty Wallace, takes a spot away. Harry Gant's going to try the same thing.
Rusty appears to be going back.
Yep, that car is definitely not handling as good as we normally see it handling.
He was 3rd about 10 laps ago and now finds himself in 6th. The side cam on Harry Gant's car.
Phil Parsons stopping again on the backstretch. Phil has been in and out the pits here in the last 10 laps. It's the second time that he stopped under the green flag. Phil had been running up in 11th place before he started making these pit stops.
Ricky Rudd, the Quaker State Buick, is 4th. Harry Gant is 5th, and Rusty Wallace is 6th.
Harry Gant looks on the inside of Rudd, comes alongside.
He's going to try to get the position away from him. Can't do it.
Couldn't get traction.
Jeff Bodine was there.
Jeff moves over and lets him go. He's running about, 3 laps down.
He's in 12th. Jeff Bodine is.
So the 2 green cars, the Quaker State Buick, Ricky Rudd, the Skoll Oldsmobile of Harry Gant, battling it out here.
Harry Gant's best finish was 3rd in the 1982 Busch 500, and this is his 22nd start at Bristol. He's got a top 5 going here this evening. There's Darrell Waltrip. And 17.
Darrell Waltrip better not look in the rearview mirror because back there in the same straightaway is the 11 car, Terry Labonte, the Budweiser Ford.
Less than a second.
Less than 1 second.
Yeah, not too long ago, it was about 2 seconds, fellas. So in the last 10 laps, he's cut a second off of it, and he's doing it about 0.2 of a second a lap, I believe. Now he's running up on, Labonte is running up on the car number 2. That might slow him down a little bit. But the 2 car of Ernie Irvin moves to the inside, so it did slow him down 0.1 of a second that time, but we'll clock him again now that he's gotten around the 2 car. Of course, he has Neil Bonnet and Dale Earnhardt between he and Darrell Waltrip now.
But there's a long ways, over 70 laps to go to catch Darrell Waltrip.
Earnhardt moves down out of the way, still 1 second flat behind, and here Neil Bonnet moves out of the way now. Open territory there now between Terry Labonte and Darrell Waltrip.
And Junior Johnson's cars have won 21 times here on the high banks of Bristol International Raceway.
I guess 23 wasn't bad.
We're pretty darn close, right?
He certainly knows how to set race cars up here, no doubt about that. Well, with no traffic behind him, although Darrell does have traffic in front of him now, let's see what it is. Well, actually, he's picked up a little bit on the body, another 1/10 of a second.
This Darrell Waltrip's driving me crazy. He looks like he's slowing down, now he's speeding up.
Yep, looks like he does whatever he needs to do, doesn't he?
That could be the situation.
That's right. He might have looked in the rearview mirror and saw the body and said, oops, I better go a little faster.
Waltrip's trying to put another lap on Jimmy Spencer in car number 88. Spencer a little loose there coming off the quarters. We've got 70 laps to go.
Darrell might have tapped him just a little bit and got him a little bit loose. That should make Spencer 3 laps down.
Now tell me, what would this do to Darrell Waltrip emotionally, psychologically for next weekend if he should win tonight?
I think it would be an asset for him, a tremendous asset for him.
Oh, yeah, I think it'd psych him up. I think he'd feel, hey, we got the momentum, fellas. Let's go on there and get that $1 million.
How about that, Jack? What do you think?
I had a chance to talk to Darrell before the start of the race, and I asked him precisely that question. And he said, listen, I'd like to win this thing so I'd have a little pocket change going down to Darlington. He believes in momentum, and he thinks if he can win here, it would be a psychological edge going into the quest for the $1 million next week.
Well, he's got 67 more laps to go before the checkered flag falls, and but in the meantime, he is going to have to contend with Labonte because Terry is still hanging right in there. Labonte has won twice in Winston Cup competition so far this year. He won at Pocono, and he won at Talladega.
And, of course, he's another driver that will be leaving his team at the end of this year. and forming his own team, but he, like Ricky Rudd, is not going to be a lame duck driver.
And speaking of forming own teams, Ned, Bobby Allison announced formally on Friday that he will field a Winston Cup team for 1990. If Mike Alexander gets all clearances from NASCAR, he will be the driver. They will be Buicks, but Bobby says that he doesn't have a sponsor lined up right now.
He said a sponsor is needed, but they're going to do it anyway.
Bobby Allison also said in the media release that he still hasn't given up hopes of getting back in a race car someday himself. We'll be back with more of the Busch 500.
Rusty and Alan don't agree on much. In fact, the only thing they do agree on is that you need an antifreeze coolant that handles extreme conditions, like scorching heats of up to 276 degrees and bone-numbing colds down to 84 below. That's why Rusty and Alan both agree on Xerox antifreeze coolant.
Come on, let's go.
All right, I'll drive.
I've seen you drive. I'll drive.
Xerox antifreeze coolant, because extreme conditions demand extreme protection.
There's a rough road ahead with no end in sight. Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
Quaker State is quality engineered to exceed every single American, European, and Japanese car maker's U.S. requirements for maximum engine protection.
So pistons are protected from friction mile after mile. Valves are protected from wear year in, year out.
That's why Quaker State engines run strong and run long.
Quaker State engines don't know when to quit.
The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
The lights on these cars are running on battery power alone. And in the end, only one, the car with the new Die-Hard battery, our most powerful ever, is able to start. Great low prices every day, Die-Hard power. That's your money's worth and a whole lot more.
To some, it's a job. To others, it's an obsession. If you demand performance from your car, protect it with Pure Later filters.
Terry Labonte in car number 11 was second. He isn't there anymore. He spun coming off corner number 4 just a lap ago.
And he had gotten that close to Darrell Waltrip. He gets a little high off the turn. The back end of the Budweiser Ford breaks loose. There's Dale Jarrett behind him in the Hardee's Pontiac. Jarrett slows down and lets Labonte spin to the inside. And look what a job he does of keeping it off the wall. It rights itself, gets headed in the right direction, keeps going, no caution flag.
Here's how it looked from our speed shot, which is positioned just under the starter stand.
Just a long, slow spin.
It's an amazing thing that he didn't go down and just knock the inside wall down.
Well, I'm telling you, he did not lose a lap.
Still running in 5th place now.
In fact, yeah, he was able to get things straightened out and fall in ahead of Rusty Wallace. So Labonte is now 5th. There's the leader, Darrell Waltrip. And now in 2nd position is Alan Kulwicki. Can he win tonight and take home the Unocal Challenge money?
There's Alan Kulwicki, the Xerox Ford.
He's got a lot of racetrack, though, between himself and the leader, Darrell Waltrip. Almost a half lap.
Just behind him, Alan Kulwicki. There you see the 2 green cars. Ricky Rudd, Harry Gant, they're still battling, folks. I know we've been on commercial, but this is still the same race we had going before we went to commercial.
And now this becomes the battle for 3rd position.
I thought Harry had him there for a moment. Well, I tell you, there's a lot of slipping and sliding going on out there, fellas.
Well, there sure is. It's incredible the way these guys can maintain control sometimes. Rudd currently in 3rd and Gann in 4th. 50 laps to go. 450 have been completed.
To those drivers, it'll seem like 150 because they got to be getting tired because they've had every one of them have had to drive so hard tonight. The racetrack is slick and they've been in heavy traffic a lot. And it's not only physically tiring, but it's mentally tiring as well. You
can imagine, just as close, we saw these fellows tonight rubbing each other as close as they've been. You can imagine how mentally exhausted, like Ned was talking about, just how much of your mind you have to concentrate, because 1 inch makes a tremendous difference at this racetrack.
Still following Ricky Rudd around there, just can't make the pass. And Darrell Waltrip now about 5 7/10 seconds ahead of Alan Kowicki.
Okay, the question becomes, can Alan Kowicki chase down Darrell Waltrip? From what we have seen tonight, do you think he can, Benny?
I don't think so, no. I think Waltrip now has things under control, unless there's a caution flag.
Yeah.
And who knows, if you go in and change 4 tires, would you go in and change 4 tires? And who knows what kind of... And speaking of caution flag...
Almost. Jimmy Spencer darn near spun down in turn 4, but gathered it in, and so we continue to race. It was close.
But a caution flag would probably hurt Harry again. Immensely.
Showing you the interval now between first and second. Waltrip passed through the frame. Now here comes Alan Kowicki, who has hung up just behind Jimmy Spencer. And I believe he's going to have a yellow before he can catch up. He's being held up right now by Jimmy.
Yeah, and he's lost ground in the last few laps. He's about 7 4/10 seconds behind now.
Now Spencer moves over and Kowicki passes by.
And look, Ricky Rudd has caught up with him. And Harry Gant's still on the back bumper of Ricky Rudd's Quaker State Buick.
So we got a great race for second and third and fourth position. Kowicki, Ricky Rudd, and Harry Gant.
Yeah, had a good run off of turn 2. He got down on the inside of Ricky Rudd, but he can't make the pass that time. Just can't get by. It's slick down there on the inside now. The second groove coming off of turn 4 is the best, but if you get up there, as we've seen a couple, like Dale Earnhardt and Terry Labonte tonight, just a foot up there too far, it's disastrous.
It's gone.
You know, he said it was slick on the bottom of turn 4 coming off there tonight, Ned. It was 10 years ago, and it was 5 years ago, and it still is tonight.
It will be 5 years from now.
Exactly.
It was 20-some years ago when I drove.
There you go. Well, Rudd now able to put a couple of car lengths between himself and Harry Gant.
Now, Darrell Waltrip is about to put a lap on Rusty Wallace.
So Wallace, second in points, 6th in the race tonight, stands to go a lap down here.
We watch this battle between Ricky Rudd. Here's Darrell Waltrip now coming up on Rusty Wallace, about to put him a lap down.
Well, you know, Rusty don't want Darrell Waltrip to get by, because if he should, but Darrell is going to go. He's going to try him on the inside.
Rusty's car just not running up to full song. Let's see if Waltrip can put a lap on him. Indeed he does. So now there are only 5 cars on the lead lap at the Busch 500 with 462 laps completed. We'll be right back.
Look like fun? It can drive you buggy. Want an easier way? Let Wash and Fill do your dirty work with gallons of soft water and gentle cleansing suds. No leaky hoses, no smelly gooey bugs, no hot driveways. Just drive on through.
Hey, use us as necessary.
Wash and Fill in Napoleon and Defiance.
Dimension Cable Services says thanks to its subscribers for helping reach 1 million customers. For over 20 years, Dimension Cable has been striving to provide the highest quality entertainment for their viewers. Morning, noon, and night, Dimension Cable Services gives you romance, music, fun for the kids, sports, news, mystery, comedy, and much more. Now 1 million strong, Dimension Cable customers enjoy the best in cable television 24 hours a day. Dimension Cable, with something for all of you.
Laps to go in the Busch 500. Darrell Waltrip is the leader. Alan Kowicki is second. Ricky Rudd third. Harry Gant fourth. Terry Labonte fifth. Those cars on the lead lap. A lap down in 6th. Rusty Wallace 2 laps down in 7th. Bobby Hillen. Jimmy Spencer is 3 laps down in 8th. Neil Bonnet is 3 laps down in 9th. And Dale Jarrett 4 laps down in 10th position. But a nice run by Dale Jarrett this evening. There's the leader, Darrell Waltrip.
Dale Earnhardt in the pits. He was already 7 laps down, now about to go another one down, getting right side tires on the Good Ranch Chevrolet.
There is Dale going out of the pits. I just can't wait to see the Winston Cup points after this race because they're going to be all scrambled up. Darrell Waltrip is going to get 5 bonus points for leading the most laps this evening.
Now here's Terry Labonte, who is currently running in 5th place. He was on Darrell Waltrip's bumper not long ago, about to try to pass him for the lead, but after that spin, the Budweiser Ford hasn't run as well, so he's in danger of going a lap down.
And Dave Martin from Lightboard Chevrolet trying to get by the 11 car.
Now look at this. They're the top 5 in Winston Cup points going into this race. Dale Earnhardt is currently 15th. Rusty Wallace, second in points, is 6th. Mark Martin, 20th. Darrell Waltrip, 4th in points, is the leader. Davey Allison, 25th. So as I indicated, the points are really going to be scrambled at the end of this one. And we'll have 4 in contention for the Winston Cup when we go to Darlington next week.
And you remember Darrell Waltrip when we did the interview last week at Michigan after he fell out of the race, how disappointed he was, and said, well, maybe the championship's going away. I don't know if it is or not, Bob Jenkins.
I don't think so.
No, I bet he's thinking differently right now, and I believe that he's thought deep down in his heart. I was over at their shops this week and talked to Jeff Hammond, and he said, hey, we haven't given up yet. He said, we're going to try to win this thing as Waltrip now tries to put a lap on Terry Labonte and does so.
And so there are now 5 cars, make that 4 cars on the lead lap as Labonte goes down 1. 4 cars on the lead lap are Waltrip, Kulwicki, and the 26 and 33 cars, and there they are, and they must have a rope attached to themselves, you know it?
Nothing's changed. What's this, 100 laps now at least? No, it's not 100 laps, but it seems like they've been running bumper to bumper for the last 50, 75 laps anyway.
There's Kulwicki just ahead of Rudd and Gant. Waltrip has things pretty much in hand at the moment.
Yeah, he's able to run his own race the way that he wants to out there. Has a good, comfortable lead.
He was second, by the way. Darrell Waltrip was second in the spring race here at Bristol. It was won by Rusty Wallace. Continuing to ride with Harry Gant, following Ricky Rudd. The battle for third rages on. Got to be slick out there. You can see Harry fighting the wheel.
Yeah, they're really having to battle it. Neil Bonnet has slowed in the car number 21. He's still running pretty decently, but he's not running as fast as he did earlier in the race.
Bonnet 9th, 3 laps down. You know, it's amazing the statistics when you look at short track racing in the 80s Winston Cup. Darrell Waltrip has 32 wins, and what is even more incredible than that, the second place guy is Dale Earnhardt, and he's only got 18. And then Rusty Wallace, believe it or not, is the 3rd on the short track win list with 5. We'll be back right after this with more from Bristol International Raceway.
Excuse me. Are those Bugle Boy jeans that you're wearing?
Oh, yes. They are Bugle Boy jeans.
Thank you.
When it comes to protecting your investment, isn't it worth paying for the real thing? Because only Armor All works like Armor All.
What's that, Lucille? The new what? Oh,
Oh, you're talking about that brand new McChicken sandwich at McDonald's, the one with that down-home taste. I hear you, babe. Tender, juicy old white breast meat with spicy seasoning. You say new McChicken's real down-home taste is something special? Hate to put you down, but... You can say that again.
ESPN is your ringside seat for a featherweight battle. Jeff Franklin takes on Abe Gomez as Budweiser presents Top Rank Boxing. Tuesday night at 9 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Last week, when Rusty Wallace won at Michigan, the champion Sparkplug 400, he became the winningest driver of 1989. If Darrell Waltrip can win tonight, he will also have 5 wins and tie Wallace for most victories. And he is within 11 laps of doing so. Darrell Waltrip is the leader of the race.
And has a good lead, a very comfortable lead over Alan Kowicki, who is running in the second position. Ricky Rudd now creeping up on Alan Kowicki.
10 laps to go, 490 complete.
And these drivers have never been so glad to see anything in their life as Harold Kinder holding up 10 fingers, which signifies just 10 more laps to go, because they're all exhausted. And as Ned Jarrett said, not only physically, but mentally as well.
When you go around this place in about 17 seconds, 17 and a half seconds for 500 laps, now I'll tell you, it will wear you out.
Second place belongs to Alan Kowicki in car number 7. Here he comes into the screen.
He just went by our
Just
screen.
went by, and there is Rusty Wallace. Now he is a lap down.
He's a lap down. And you know, he was gaining on the 11 car, Terry Labonte, just a moment ago. And he wanted to pass him desperately because it was 5 extra points. Folks, if the points pay $175 to win, and it drops 5 points per position back to 5, back to 5th. He wanted to catch Labonte and get those 5 points. And he was gaining on him. And then along came Kowicki and the Rudd car and the Harry Gant car. And when he let them by, he lost some ground.
And so Rusty Wallace is in 6th. And we continue to have this battle between Rudd and Gant, but Gant just can't find the opportunity to take over the spot.
No, he's gaining in the turns now. He got it beside of him there just a moment ago, but couldn't make the pass.
There are less than 5 laps to go in the Busch 500. Second, third, and fourth position are very, very close. There's Alan Kowicki in 7, 26, Ricky Rudd, and the 33 of Harry Gant. Now, the 11 car of Terry Labonte is not among the contenders for this position. He is a lap down.
And he moved over and let Ricky Rudd go by.
And will do so now and let Harry Gant go by. Alan Kowicki is going to come close to winning the Unical Challenge, but close doesn't count, does it?
You think he's hoping for something to happen to Darrell Waltrip's car?
Think so?
Believe me, he is. I mean, 136,800 wishes.
Yeah, you hate to see another driver have bad luck, but when there's that kind of money up at stake, I'm sure he wouldn't mind wishing that.
And in case you just joined us, if the 17 car wins the race, that's okay. But if the 7 car was to win the race, he said on the pole position tonight, Alan Kowicki, he would pick up a bonus of 136,800. Alan Kowicki is the only guy that can do it. Darrell Waltrip can't.
Here comes the white flag for Darrell Waltrip. He has 1 more lap to go around the .533-mile high banks of Bristol International Raceway, and he will win his 5th victory of 1989 and his 11th here at Bristol. Off of corner number 4, Darrell Waltrip wins the Busch 500 at Bristol International Raceway. Here comes second place. Alan Kowicki will finish 2nd, Ricky Rudd 3rd, and Harry Gant in 4th. Those cars on the lead lap. And in 5th is going to be Terry Labonte. Let's go to Jerry Punch.
Okay, Jeff Hammond and the crew celebrating here in the pits with Darrell Waltrip's victory. And Jeff, congratulations on an outstanding win, partner.
Thank you, man. I tell you what, I can't say enough about that man behind that 17 car or this bunch right here. We've had 2 bad weeks. We came up here. We were either going to run the wheels off or knock the wheels off. That was our game plan. told him before he started the race, eye of the tiger, man. We're going after him tonight, and he did it. He came up here with blood in his eye, and I think everybody can see he's back, baby. We're going into Darlington. We're going to be pumped. We may not get $1 million, but we look like $1 million.
That sums it up. Jeff Hammond on the Happy Tide Crew, gentlemen.
Great comment, and again, we'll be live at 12:50 next Sunday afternoon to see if Darrell Waltrip can repeat his win tonight and win $1 million in the Southern 500. Waltrip on his way to victory lane, and our Speed World coverage of the Busch 500 being brought to you by Xerex, the antifreeze coolant for extreme conditions. By Quaker State Motor Oil, the big Q stands for quality, always has, always will. By the Die Hard battery, now with more power when you need it most. And by the First Name and Filters Purolator, exceptional protection for exceptional vehicles like yours. And we will go to victory lane in just a moment to talk with Darrell Waltrip, who has endured and won the Busch 500. That in just a moment.
This entire commercial was shot and edited on a very advanced piece of home video equipment. The new RCA Pro Edit camcorder. It puts in your hands the most comprehensive set of recording and editing capabilities ever assembled in one camcorder. Then again, you probably can see that for yourself with the RCA Pro Edit. RCA, #1 with the toughest critics in the world.
Lemon, blueberry, boysenberry, rhubarb, cherry.
What was one before cherry?
Rhubarb. Rhubarb.
It's a plant. What's a rhubarb?
A vegetable. It's about yay long.
We're out of rhubarb.
Air conditioners, pressure
Builder Square. We buy by the trainload. Direct from top manufacturers. There's no middleman, no frills, no membership fees. And at Builder Square, we won't be undersold. Ever. Builder Square, where the values keep rolling on. Because the more we sell, the lower the price.
The lights on these cars are running on battery power alone. And in the end, only one, the car with a new Die Hard battery, our most powerful ever, is able to start. Great low prices every day, Die Hard power. That's your money's worth and a whole lot more.
Darrell Waltrip wins the Busch 500. Our winner's circle interview being brought to you by the Die Hard battery. Now with more power when you need it most, here's Jack Arute.
Well, he gets the congratulations of his wife, Stevie, the camera right behind you there. Darrell, the old man is back at Bristol.
Well, it was a tough night. Just thank the good Lord for a good night. We've been praying and hoping that we could get back in the points race. I don't know if it's made much difference or not, but we're real happy. And just praise the Lord. And I'm give out, Jack. I drove my heart out tonight. I give it all I had.
Boy, you did, but what's even more important, Darrell, is the fact as he takes Jessica Lee in Stevie's arms, you've got the momentum going into the Winston Million. You're the only man that can possibly win it next week.
I know it, and I will. That's what the night was all about.
Well, if you count momentum.
Mom, I love Mom. Hi, Mom. Happy birthday to Corley, Zandy, our crew member.
Well, that's the story from Victory Lane. Let's go back up to you, Bob.
Well, he said it. He's got the momentum going in, and it sure is going to be fun to watch what happens next Sunday afternoon here on ESPN.
I hope Alan Kowicki's running second. And he would knock Darrell. Try to knock Darrell out of $1 million.
All right, let's take a look now at the point standings. These are unofficial. Dale Earnhardt, of course, will maintain his lead, but Rusty Wallace will move to within 50 points of the Winston Cup points battle. Mark Martin came into this race 95 behind. He leaves 102 behind. Darrell Waltrip came in 200 points behind and now is only 138, so he made the huge gain in winning this race. And Davey Allison will maintain his position in fifth. He came in 261 points behind and now is 284 behind Dale Earnhardt. So that's how close the Winston Cup points battle is, and Rusty within 50. Let's go to Jerry Punch, who's with second place finisher Alan Kowicki.
Well, Alan sitting inside the trailer, gentlemen, he is absolutely exhausted. And as a matter of fact, I think he had a header pipe broken, Alan. He's trying to get stood up here a little bit. First of all, you okay?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just got a little nauseous with about 90 or 100 laps to go there. We broke a header, and the fumes are getting to me, and I just got a little dizzy and just hanging on till the end.
Did a heck of a job out there trying to bring the Xerox car home in second spot.
We got a flat tire one time and got almost 2 laps down and made it up, but just could never catch up to Darrell. That was all we could do, you know.
We'll let Alan catch his breath after a heck of an effort tonight, and the last 90 laps just trying to stay awake in the car after all the fumes getting inside. A heck of a job by this youngster from Wisconsin. Bob?
Boy, you got to take your hats off to all of the drivers who have completed this race. There is Darrell Waltrip. He simply can't take it anymore and is laid down.
Bob, Ned and I made comments all during the show about the physical aspect of this racetrack. And I think that we looked at Kawicki, we looked at Darrell Waltrip. Folks, you know now just how tough this racetrack is.
But it has provided some great racing for us this evening, some good competition, and Darrell Waltrip has come out on top. Let's take a look at the top 10 finishers. Alan Kawicki, of course, was second. Ricky Rudd third, Harry Gant fourth, and a lap down in fifth position was Terry Labonte. Finishing in 6th through 10, Rusty Wallace a lap down in 6th. Bobby Hillen drove a great race and wound up in 7th, 2 laps down. Jimmy Spencer running in the top 5 for a great distance tonight, but ended up in 8th position, 3 laps down. Neil Bonnet was 9th, 3 laps down, and Dale Jarrett, a fine job, 4 laps down, finishing in the top 10. So we have what should be just an unbelievable race next weekend at Darlington, the Heinz Southern 500. We'll have it live for you at 12:50, part of Race Day America. And Darrell Waltrip, one chance, $1 million. Other Race Day America coverage will come from Mid-Ohio, the IndyCar race from that location. The NHRA U.S. Nationals from Indianapolis Raceway Park, the IMSA race from San Antonio, Texas, and of course the keystone of the day will be the Southern 500 from Darlington, South Carolina. Now tomorrow here on ESPN, in just a little more than 12 hours at noon Eastern Time, the Belgian Grand Prix from Spa-Francorchamps in Belgium as the battle for the World Championship continues. SportsCenter is coming up for you at 11:30 this evening with Larry Burnett and John Saunders, so you'll want to be tuned for that to catch up on what's been happening in other areas of the world of sports so far today. We'll see you on Speed Week at 7:30 on Thursday. We'll return to our normal time this coming week. And, of course, the big weekend next weekend, Race Day America, including the Southern 500. Once again, Darrell Waltrip has won the Busch 500 from here at Bristol International Speedway. For Benny Parsons, Ned Jarrett, Jack Arute, and Dr. Jerry Punch, this is Bob Jenkins. We'll see you on Thursday night at 7:30 and next weekend. So long, everyone.